that must have felt awesome.
I had my mask on. She died laughing.
Hey, everybody. Steve Dangle here. Welcome to watch a Leafs game. No, I did it off the top. Producer Stu is putting together a pack a pack of me saying Leafs instead of Habs. Welcome to watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. I'm Steve Dangle. I'm here with Chris Johnston, who was ID'd today.
Unreal.
Was it for booze or for a lottery ticket? Because for some reason, I only get ID'd when I'm buying like a scratch ticket, which makes no sense to me.
No, it was for a bottle of wine at the LCBO.
Ah, wonderful.
And I was wearing my mask, and like the woman actually shrieked when she saw my license. Like she couldn't believe how old I was. And then I pulled down the mask, and she's like, "Oh, you should shave that off. I would have no idea if you didn't have all this gray stuff here." But anyway,
I went to a Boston Bruins game in Boston. It was Leafs Boston in 2011, and I was like the chaperone of the group, which made no sense because I was also the youngest one. Most of us were like early to mid 20s, but one guy with a really young face was 29. And we all ordered beer in our seats, and I got ID'd. They gave me my beer. Next guy got ID'd, gave him his beer. Third guy got ID'd, gave him his beer. Fourth guy, who was 29, they look at the license, look at his face, and they just go, no. They wouldn't give it to him. He looked too young. Even though he was 8 years over the drinking age there, they were just like, nope, can't have it. And he did not take it as a compliment. So, hey, everyone, we're going to watch the Habs game tonight. Habs. For goodness sakes, not Leafs. I am going to tell you a little thing. CJ and I combined to go 3 for 3. We were a little good luck in game 2. Then in game 3, I was brutal. So CJ, I need you to bring it back. Sports Interaction has got our first bet here. By the way, Sports Interaction providing competitive odds on all sports. Sports Interaction is Canada's odds maker. You got to be 19 and up, and obviously play responsibly. So total goals in the first period. The over-under here is 1.5. Obviously, the under is favored on account of Carey Price is not human. Mr. CJ, who do you have?
I'm taking the over, no doubt.
You're taking the over?
Well, yeah, get aggressive. Put your stack up a little bit for this one and lean into the over. Vegas starting a goaltender, and Robin Leonard is playing his second game in 42 days. Let in 7 the last time he went in. I know he's a great goaltender, but just inactivity, the moment. I think it's got a weird vibe around the game. I think Montreal's going to go for it early with Leonard net, and so that could lead to some bad things happening in their direction. I think it's going to be a goofy first period rather than sort of a tentative defensive first period.
So,
plus, same 2 referees as the last game. And they didn't call enough. They took a lot of heat. I think you're going to see a tougher officiating standard and more power plays first period.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because I believe it's games 1 through 4 are going to be the same crew. And why is that?
It's to do with COVID. I think games 1 and 2 in Vegas was the same crew, and then games 3 and 4 in Montreal. And so it's to lessen the number of people traveling around. In a normal playoffs, in a normal time, back before COVID-19, kids, the NHL would purposely avoid having the same referees from game to game, I think, just to keep a different rotation going. But then it's just not as practical to have so many people flying. And so as a result, it's the same 2 referees again. And I just think, the missed penalty on Jonathan Marchessault in overtime in the last game, the high stick on Corey Perry. Geez, now you got me with the sillies. And the fact that they took a bunch of heat, I think you'll see a tighter standard, and there's enough weirdness going on that I'm feeling comfortable on the over 1.5.
Okay, so that's good. How much do these officials, because I'm big on the train that at some point, maybe not after every game, but at some point these guys should have to answer questions from the media. How much do you think these guys are reading between games?
Oh, they're aware, man. Like, there's no secrets in the universe. And it's so much of it comes on social media, frankly. I mean, I think that there's a few things said on the broadcast too, but so much of it is just easy for their family, for themselves. I mean, they can Google their name or put their name into Twitter search and see what's being said. Much like the players probably shouldn't do that too much, especially when things are going wrong. Might not be the best idea for the officials, but I'm sure they're aware of it. And on top of that, the league does go through the games with them and, sort of critique the penalty calls and plays that were missed. I know they clip missed penalties, ones that the official, Stephen Wacom, believes were missed. And so there's, especially when you get down to this few games, one a day, basically every game is under pretty heavy scrutiny from their bosses and from the court of public opinion. And, you can be sure they're aware of what was said in and around game 3 and the fact that they're, got the whistles again for game 4. I just think you'll see them probably come out, calling more penalties.
All right, game 4 is going to start in a few minutes. We got Chris Johnston with us here on Watch a Habs Game with Steve Dangle. Click like and subscribe. We got a bunch of questions from the chat, but I'm greedy and I want to keep going just for a minute.
You've got the mic, man. Just own it.
I got the power. So when it comes to, players not reading about themselves and everything, one thing I've learned is they're big liars. There was this one player, he was a draft eligible player I was talking to once. And I was like, do you even know where you're ranked or whatever? He's like, oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Somewhere, I don't know, like 42nd. Who guesses 42nd? And I looked it up and sure enough, he was ranked 42nd. And I tell that story because there is actually a statistics site for officials, and it's called scoutingtherefs.com. Mm-hmm. And it's, how often the home team wins. I think it has their most frequent penalty. Do you know if any of the league's officials, or have you ever heard a story, any of the league's officials going on that specific website?
I actually haven't heard a story of that anecdotally from any of them, but come on. Like, you've searched your name. I'm sure you know some of what's said about you out there. I just think it's normal that these guys would look at that. I mean, Scouting the Refs too, it's a pretty prominent site for officials. There aren't very many of them. The referees are kind of anonymous, more or less by design these days. Way back in the 80s, they used to have their names on their back and could be more easily identified. And I think sort of had some personality, and a lot of them didn't wear helmets. And anyway, that's an olden time. But since then, what we've seen is them become sort of more and more, not to be identified. And so, I think that it's one of the few places where they can look and see what's out there. And yeah, I'm sure they're aware of all that stuff. I mean, if it's in the public domain, I just feel like privately, that's part of the conversation in their world. And, these guys know what's being said. That much is for sure.
Let's get to the first fan question, which seems like a trap. Hardip. Hey, CJ, is Vegas a juggernaut?
They have been at times this year. I don't know where they stand now. I mean, that's the beauty of this first face-off. Now we get to see what they're actually going to have it. I mean, this is Vegas' season on the line in a lot of ways. Obviously, if they go down 3-1, they can still come back. I won't be saying it's over, but the stakes in this game are so high. I think the expectations are so high for the Golden Knights. Going with Robin Leonard tonight, what a Hail Mary move by their coaching staff and the organization. So they have been a juggernaut. I don't know if they are a juggernaut, present tense.
I'm with you about them potentially losing tonight. Can you imagine a team blowing a 3-1 series lead? I know I can't.
It rarely happens, so it's just hard to think of the last time it's happened.
Yeah, same. I can't think of the last time either.
We're gonna have to get our stats crew on that one.
Yeah. Hey, Sportsnet stats. Can one of the producer Drew, you on that?
Producer Drew witnessed it live on Watch a Leafs Game with Steve Dangle.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was Watch a Habs Game. We had the wrong graphic.
Gotcha.
It's always been Watch a Habs Game, and they have a winning record when I watch. So, AK-48. Who is CJ cheering for in this series?
I'm really not cheering for anyone. Like, honestly, I mean, I'm an old man. I've done this a long time. I know. No, but like the truth is part of what's cool about my job is I get to know players and GMs and people around the league associated with all the teams. And so there's individuals on each of the 4 remaining teams that I have some degree of relationships with that I'd be happy to see have success. And so whether it's Vegas or Montreal, there's various people in these 2 organizations I'd be happy to see have a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup. So, I'm not being Switzerland or just being on a fence. It's just literally how it is. I never grew up a fan of either of these teams. And at this point, I've long since turned my fan card in terms of organizations or sweaters. I just don't think like a fan does. But I'll say this, that it's been enjoyable actually to see Montreal keep this going, the way they did. I mean, it felt in the first round like, okay, where is this headed? Then the way they got through Winnipeg, and then they've shown me something here in the first 3 games of this series. And so it's not that I'm cheering for them, but I kind of admire what they have going on here. I'm aware of how special it is, and just seeing how alive that city's coming, that big fan base of theirs is coming. I'm happy to see those people have a little success here.
I was tweeting about this. I don't know if they still do championship DVDs. I don't know if anyone does DVDs anymore, but I think we can all agree that if they were to release one right now, Montreal's got the best one. Easily the best story.
Well, I mean, in the last 3 days now, their coach is in isolation for 2 weeks. I mean,
exactly.
In addition to everything else, it's unreal. And I think the fact that they probably, rightfully so, I think what were they, 18th in the regular season overall,
yep.
Maybe
18th. Oh, buddy, what are you doing? Oh, boy, Vegas cannot get out of their own way with those, eh?
Corey Perry is worth more than $750,000. He's honestly, he's been a real revelation just how much he still has left in his game.
I know he didn't have the most immaculate regular season in the world.
It wasn't bad though. He came on.
I agree, and I don't understand how you watch his Stanley Cup final with Dallas and not only don't give him an offer better than $750,000,
but also kid.
Waive him.
Father's Day. There's the kid.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I didn't, man. It's today's been a very weird day. It's been a blur. It's been cool to have my first Father's Day.
Yeah, congrats, buddy. Cheers to that.
Thank you. There you go. But no, I
like my Nordiques mug. I thought it was on brand here.
I like that very much.
Yeah.
Is that a relic from the past, or is that like a newly made thing?
Yeah, I'm at my in-laws' house and for Father's Day to have a barbecue.
Nice.
And when I'm here, this is always my mug, and it's one that they have back from like the late 80s, early 90s. Whoa.
Robin Leonard sharp so far. I do want to talk about that mug a little bit.
Over 1.5, suddenly in peril here.
I want to ask you, so what went into this decision? Like, is it just Robin Leonard's good and they want to try him, or?
Well, I think it's 2 things. The mistake at the end of the game in regulation to Josh Anderson.
Yeah.
I think the Golden Knights viewed that as a sign that Marc-Andre Fleury might be feeling a little fatigued. That in that moment, that obviously it's a brain cramp, but maybe part of the reason it's a brain cramp is he's played a lot of games and been in high leverage situations for them. And remember, when they went and traded for Robin Leonard and then extended him for a 5-year contract, not to mention played him most of the playoff games last year in the bubble in Edmonton, they did so because they viewed him as an upgrade on Marc-Andre Fleury. And so, even though Fleury's had a tremendous year and Leonard's season really hasn't gone the way he would have planned, he had some injury issues, I know, and all those types of things, I think that they view him ultimately as at least an equivalent goaltender, if not a better goaltender. And so you combine that with, maybe wanting to shock the team a little bit. There's only so many cards you can play, right? There's only so many players you can reasonably put in the lineup. As I mentioned off the top, I see this as a big Hail Mary. It doesn't mean it's a mistake, but I think you're trying to complete the 30-yard pass here instead of, a 3-yarder and set up another chance at first down. And so, we'll see how it goes. But, the fact that he's probably viewed as a better goaltender and he's quite well rested, I think has led them to this point.
And there's a guy who I'm sure he knows what the story is surrounding him, and the Hail Mary, and I saw everyone tweeting this is a galaxy brain thing. Stop giving the puck away. Vegas has been brutal the first few minutes when it comes to that.
Josh Anderson, all of a sudden, he's just like, he's got confidence everywhere now.
Was that okay? His tying goal, that was his first goal since the
Game
first
one.
goal of the Leafs Habs. Oh, that's unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable. And then he gets two.
And you know what's wild? He had gone 12 games prior to the goal in the first game of the playoffs without a goal. And then he went 12 games subsequent to the 2 goals, 2 nights ago. So he had 1 goal in 24 games, and then he scores 2 in a span of 10 or 15 minutes, a tying goal and an overtime winner at about the biggest time you can have it. I mean, again, this is what the playoffs are made of. That's why the Habs have this sort of special feel. I think the Islanders probably feel like they have a special feeling with the way that, Polak takes that puck off the goal line at the buzzer last night. I mean, this is why I love the playoffs. All these moments get elevated beyond just a thing that happened in the game, and you start to, you're starting to talk about something that'll remember for a long time, and you got fans thinking about what it's symbolic of, and this is special stuff for Montreal. I mean, whoever, honestly, even their most ardent fan, I'm not even sure their front office thought they'd get to this point.
No. Nobody.
I mean, you hope, but I don't think you believe that it's probably going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Brian Burke did join the podcast before the season began, and he said Montreal is the best built for the playoffs in the North Division.
And I think Marc Bergevin thought that too, honestly. It's just that what he saw in the regular season, wasn't a lot of, didn't instill a lot of confidence in the division. Now, I get that playoffs is different hockey than regular season. Look at the Habs cycling around here.
Oh, if he gets that off right away, it's in. Gotta be. So,
but the way their season went at the end, and they had a ton of games because they missed that week for a COVID break and all that stuff, but I don't, there wasn't much to predict this, even if you like some of the things they did in the offseason.
I agree. It's not even being unfair. They had fewer wins than, I believe, Calgary and Philly, who both finished below them in the standings. Dallas didn't make the playoffs. New York didn't make the playoffs, and they finished above Montreal in the standings. But we've been through all that. Now they're here, and they're up 2-1 in this series. I've been very encouraged by some of the messages that I've got. I think people expected me to do these streams in a Leaf jersey and actively cheer against the Habs.
Are you cheering for the Habs?
Sorry?
Are you cheering for the Habs though in this, or?
It's tough. They're a really good story. I think I'm just kind of watching it, but I'm doing that preamble to get to this. For Game 4 specifically, if the team that we're cheering for is chaos, we need Robin Lehner to stand on his head and for Vegas to win, because that's the maximum chaos scenario, is it not?
I don't know. I think if it went the other way too, that invites a certain degree of chaos. If Montreal goes ahead 3-1 and Robin Lehner maybe doesn't play so well, and you've made that big move, that there's a lot of chaos potential with the goaltender switch, basically.
God, Perry, did you hear? Do we know a stitch amount on Corey Perry's face?
No, I didn't hear one. I didn't ask either, but
yeah, no, that's for the best. You might get put on some kind of watch list. If you
I love the visual of him coming out though to be with his teammates after the overtime goal. That's pretty great.
So good. They should have been on a 4-minute power play. They score while they should have been on that 4-minute power play. Legendary. Norman from the chat. Who is CJ's favorite player? I'm going to say that can be present or whenever.
Well, when I was a kid, it was Doug Gilmour. I was a huge Doug Gilmour fan.
Noted Hab.
Also, pretty big Wayne Gretzky fan when I was really young. I had a Titan stick, white and red one, when I was first playing hockey, which Wayne Gretzky used to use. And then he went to Easton Aluminum, and I got that one year for Christmas just because Wayne Gretzky had it. Present day, I love the way the game's gone. I just love all the skill of these guys. And so it's hard not to be a fan in a sense, or to appreciate what Connor McDavid does, the way Austin Matthews shoots the puck.
Yeah.
What we see from even a Matt Barzal, like he's on this team that doesn't play in this way, but he's like the one, he's sort of like he's painting Renaissance paintings and everyone else on his team is paint by numbers. And I'm not actually insulting them, but like he just has such dazzling skill and they play in a very sort of formulaic way. We can go down the list. I think most of the top players in the game now, I love watching Pasternak. Like that guy, you get the feeling like no one is having more fun than David Pasternak. Like he scores, just out of habit. He wears these great suits. He's got like the big gap tooth grin. I kind of like the personality we see in hockey nowadays. And so, I don't have one favorite player, but I really appreciate what those guys do. And I think that the game, as much as we all argue about it on hockey Twitter and that, I think the game's in a pretty good spot right now from a big picture perspective.
Here's a decent one from Chris. You type this yourself. Thoughts on the Perry no call in Game 3? Very close, Riley Smith there. Thoughts on the no call in overtime, and is it a bigger talking point if Vegas ends up winning it?
For sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, that's a swing moment in that game, just because it's such an obvious missed penalty. The officials thought that it was a follow through on the shot from Marchessault, like in real time. That's what I was communicated to the Canadiens bench. Okay. I think, with the benefit of replay or, seeing it the way we see it, not at ice level, I don't think that's the case. It should have been a pretty obvious call. And so, yeah, if Vegas wins the game, especially if it's like right after that with Perry still in the dressing room being repaired on a missed call, I think it becomes a much bigger story. Otherwise, now it just becomes a bit of a footnote, and it's more about how Perry comes back out, and you sort of see that unique element of it. But it's a missed call. But at the same time, part of what playoffs demands of every team is there's mistakes. Like I'm watching all these games every night. There's been missed goals. Tampa scored a goal with 6 guys on the ice that got missed.
7.
7. There you go. Like my point is you have to find a way to play through that. Like there's going to be things that go against you in the game, because it's not. Hockey's not a game of perfect, even when it's played well. Like it's rubber on ice. It's bouncing around. Like just weird stuff happens. So, I think the lesson for any team that's played this deep is you don't get distracted by the things that don't go your way. And so Montreal played through that. Montreal actually played well in that overtime. I thought they didn't probably deserve to be there. But they were full value for getting the win in that period.
No, Vegas dominated them all game, and then overtime was Montreal's far and away best period, I thought.
I'm starting to get a little nervous about my over 1.5 this period.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been opportunities.
There's been chances, but I thought it would be a little bit more goofy of a game. I thought there'd be a little more chaos on the ice.
I mean, I was about to credit Vegas for playing a calm game in front of Leonard, but they haven't done that at all. Right. They've given the puck away like 3 times.
Oh, here's a chance. Oh.
Is that Perry again?
Yeah.
He's had 2 missed opportunities on the backhand. Oh!
You have to wonder. I mean, Corey Perry, they should be signing to a new contract already.
Oh, I know.
I mean, much like the Jason Spezza deal in Toronto, I just think if he wants to stay, why not?
Why not?
At some point, obviously, Father Time will catch up, but until that point, I think you just keep gambling if it's affordable contracts.
So, I've been getting this question a lot, and I think you would have a much better answer than I would. How much incentive is there for teams to actually lock players up to deals for next season, because they're potentially exposing them in the expansion draft?
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue. It's funny, like even just talking to some agents and things about what we can expect this offseason, I get the sense we might see maybe 1 or 2 trades before the expansion draft from teams that have protection issues, right? Like I look at a team like Colorado that aren't going to be able to protect all their quality D. Maybe they end up trading one. Minnesota is actually in the same spot where, they're going to have a tough time keeping Matt Dumba, protecting him in the expansion draft. Perhaps he's someone who's dealt. So we might see a couple trades of that nature before June 17th, June 18th when we get to the expansion draft. But I think most of the activity is going to happen beyond that point leading into the entry draft. I think that there are moves. Say, for example, Seth Jones is out there as a player that can be traded. I'm not saying he won't be traded before expansion, but I think it's more likely a team that's dealing for him rather than extending him to a new contract. We'll probably do it after the expansion part is out of the picture. And so, that's just one example. The Dougie Hamilton situation, he can talk to all these teams, even though he's a pending, unrestricted free agent, he has permission from Carolina. I just don't see that clarifying itself before expansion. And so, it's a long way of answering your question just about signing players. I just think acquiring any new player right now or locking up your own is sort of muddied by that, especially for the good teams that have lots of good players and therefore have a tougher time, keeping them all on their protected list. So, I don't think I think it's going to be pretty quiet, maybe, heavy on rumors and stuff before expansion draft. And then I think that week will be bananas. I actually don't have the dates in front of me, but I think it's June 18th expansion draft, June 23rd, first round of the.
I think it's 3 things in 4 days. I'm pretty sure it's July 21st expansion draft, followed by 23rd, 24th actual draft.
Yeah, and so that week, load up your coffee, Steve. You're going to be making 28 videos.
Fresh thoughts.
There's going to be so much to react to, and I think hockey Twitter will be bananas. But I don't see a whole lot. As I said, maybe a couple trades to do with protection list, but I think most of the action is going to start that week.
Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. Click like, click subscribe, tell all your friends. You said a bunch of names there, but stuff is happening in this game, and my brain is an etch-a-sketch. Did you mention Phillip Danault in there? And if not, have you heard anything on Phillip Danault's contract talks?
Super quiet. What's been reported is true. He had a 6-year offer on the table.
Wow.
I believe it was $30 million prior to the season. At some point, didn't sign it, didn't reach an agreement, and obviously then the season starts. He had a really tough year. He didn't score. I think he got a second goal in the last month of the regular season. I know it was a long time. Now he's not paid for his production. He's got 2 points, I believe, in these playoffs. You can fact check me there, but but he plays huge minutes. He's playing against the best people on the other teams. He's been a huge part of their success. So it's not like we can evaluate his game solely on point production or goal production, but it certainly fell off this year. And in the playoffs, maybe there's some cursory discussions happening with his agent, but this isn't the time to be thinking about that. I mean, you're living for today. If you're Phillip Danault, if you're part of his family, I mean, obviously this is a huge thing on his radar in the very, very, very near future. But even if he, this how well he plays in the playoffs, even if he doesn't end up staying in Montreal, is good for him too, right? I mean, you got 30 other teams, or well, I guess 28 other teams now, counting Seattle, that aren't playing games. Their GMs and their executives are watching these games, and so, he might not be progressing in contract talks in Montreal, but the whole league's watching him play at an important time of year, and that's only going to help him when it comes time to sign the next deal.
Well, that's not in? No way. Oh, is Montreal heading to the power play here? Someone got shoved down from behind. I think it was Perry going for the
Perry again.
Yeah. Animal tonight. What do we got? Okay, there's that little hit behind the net there.
Edmondson. Ooh, I don't like that. First look, I don't like that.
No, that Carlson, that's just a push. I can't believe that didn't go in, though. That's probably the sharpest save of the game there for Robin Lehner.
Lehner's such a big man, though. You just see him take away the whole bottom of the net, stretching out.
Enormous. I do like this from Brandon. Who are both of your all-time favorite teams, as in include the year? So I'm going to make this different for me. I'm not going to say a Leaf team because I mean we know what's obvious with me. For me, I'm going to say the 2004 out of all non-Leaf teams, the 2004 Flames. I was a huge fan of that team, and it's a big reason why I got all this Jerome McGinley stuff behind me. My favorite non-Leaf ever. Like a guy whose career I followed from start to finish always cheered for. I got to interview him in 2010 when I started, doing some stuff professionally. And right before he walks in the room, I'm like, I'm not going to be nervous. This is old hat. I'm a total professional now. And he walks in and
heart in your throat right away, right?
Oh, I just melted. I just completely was like, that is Jerome freaking Iginla. And he comes up to me to shake my hand. And it's like, I felt like a toddler. Like his hands, it's the biggest hand I've ever shaken, I think. So I'm going to say the 2004 Flames. I love the way they played. I love the no bucket shift from Iginla there in overtime. Just so many aspects of that team. Mika Keprasov, oh my God. They were so fun.
I'm going to go off the board. Not the spirit of the question at all. I love the 2015 Toronto Blue Jays. They didn't even win the World Series, but man, I went to so many games that summer. They put up 1 million runs. They traded for David Price and Troy Tulowitzki, and it was awesome. And they got all the way to Game 6 against Kansas City in the LCS and lost. And that team just like had my heart. I was at the bat flip game, which is literally, I've been really lucky. I've been to the last 15 Stanley Cup finals, I think, for work. Like I've been to tons of big games, been to the Olympics and all that. That's like a top 3 sporting moment that I've attended live. The other one for hockey, yes. And the other one, quickly, Steve, I'm going to say the 2010 Team Canada and Vancouver Olympics. That was just such a special experience. I was there, and I wasn't really cheering for them. I'm Canadian, but, I was working. But I loved being around that event and that team.
Ooh. Absolutely. Well, we're not going to get anything from this angle. I did think, I was like, how did that stay out? It's interesting we're seeing the review here. Where's the puck? Is it in his glove?
No, I think he kept it out at the bottom there.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how you prove that. Yeah, that's tough. Coach's challenge.
You gotta wonder, like, when are we gonna get some sort of technology where the net lights up or something when the puck crosses?
I know.
It seems doable, no? Am I crazy?
Also, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but was that just... Can you challenge that? Or was it just... Like, is that just the graphic department throwing that graphic up?
Well, I don't want to bury any of our colleagues working in the graphics tonight.
Well, no, it's just because if it was actually a challenge and it failed, would it not result in a penalty?
Yeah, so it doesn't appear that was actually a coach's challenge.
Okay. I mean...
I don't have the broadcast in my ear, so I can't hear what's being said. But
yeah, me neither. Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
I'm sure Chris Cuthbert's all over it, but it's a mystery to us. You're here hanging out on this stream, and we're just guessing.
I need John Shannon to break down the what is it, the panoptic view or
parallactic something like that.
Yeah. Oh God.
Parallax.
He explained that, and I was still like, cool. Flames won the cup. I don't care.
Martin now, right?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Game 6. That was a goal, right?
So unreal. I talked about him in a video. I can't remember, but he almost had the series-winning goal in all 4 series.
Yes. He was insane. Remember, he also scored it for Carolina against the Leafs, too. Oh, 2-on-1.
Almost.
It went away on him. Danault again.
By the way, Danault... Sorry, I was just watching the game.
So, Steve, if you could change the outcome of just one game, what game would it be? Meaning, like, you can't just say, I wish this team won the championship, unless the game is a series decider.
Okay, all the Habs fans are going to get mad at me, but I would ask you to put yourself in my shoes, and you should completely understand. Dude, erasing a 3-goal deficit and then winning Game 5 in overtime, would that not be such a bolt of lightning to the Toronto Maple Leafs as a franchise, as a timeline?
Right.
Come on. There's no Game 6. There's no Game 7. There's no nervous-looking Marner in the box. There's no puck over the glass. There's no Galchenyuk giveaway. There's no Dermott giveaway. There's no getting outscored 11-2 in 3 straight all-or-nothing games. It completely changes the conversation on the team. They could get swept by the Jets in the next round. But the conversation going into that series would be, oh my God, they did it, and look how they did it.
Right.
Is that a good enough answer?
It is. I was thinking you'd like go back in your bag of tricks to some random year, but the wounds are still fresh.
Oh, it's wide open. I'm sure if you asked me in a few months, I might have a different answer. By the way, Philip Deneau, who we saw with a bit of a scoring chance there a minute ago, you weren't kidding, CJ. 5 goals in 53 games this season, 19 assists for 24 points. In these playoffs, 0 goals, 2 assists.
He's their ice time leader among forwards too. Like he's playing serious minutes.
And last year, he had 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points in 10 games. So we're looking at 5 points in his last 24 Stanley Cup playoff games. And I'm sure everyone would agree he's a monster out there.
Well, and the beauty of what the Habs have done now is you got Cole Caulfield. Nick Suzuki has really come on, in my view. Obviously Toffoli has scored some big goals for them. You got Anderson now chipped in with a few. I mean, this is a deep team. Like you can have someone. It's just not. It's not what I would call prototypical. I mean, Deneau is essentially their top line center. I guess we're arguing right now. I mean, maybe that's part of the beauty of the Habs is they have sort of evenly stacked lines, and so it's not like you say one line is 100% their first line. But I think it's fair to call him their top center. And he doesn't produce a lot of offense, and it doesn't hurt them because they're getting it by committee. And it's amazing. You see Kucherov's leading the playoffs with 23 points. The 2 guys that are in second are David Pastrnak and Nathan MacKinnon at 15, who unfortunately don't have any more games to play this spring. And I think it tells the story of some pretty balanced offenses behind Tampa. The Islanders. Anyway, yeah, goals are tough to come by for the other teams.
Way to twist the knife there on producer Drew. He's listening like, shut up. Big Avalanche fan.
I know. I was enjoying his Twitter while that Avs series was going on with the Golden Knights.
He's more intense than I am, I think, on Twitter anyway.
Yeah, he's got the pedal down when the Avs are playing.
Absolutely. This is a great question from Sean. I was actually going to ask you earlier, and then the playoffs happened. Hey CJ, would Kaprizov actually go back to the KHL? Or actually going back to the KHL, sorry, be one of the biggest stories of players leaving the NHL for the K ever. I guess the standard is either Radulov or Kovalchuk.
It would probably trump those though in some ways. I mean, Kovalchuk's got to be the biggest, right? He'd signed a monster deal in Jersey. They'd been to a cup final.
Yeah,
he's a star in the league. Like I realize now it's maybe 7 years later since he's done that, or even 8 or 9. So time has dulled our senses to it, but that was a pretty big shock. They had to annul his contract and the whole bit. Radulov is maybe similar to Kaprizov because he did it early in his career, and you saw that there was promise there, and he gave away kind of sort of prime years, or not gave away, but he didn't spend some prime years in the NHL that he would have. Kaprizov is interesting because he's going to win the Calder, obviously. I would assume by a fair margin, even as good as Jason Robertson's season was for Dallas. And, he's using the leverage he has in a negotiation. He actually doesn't have leverage. He's one of those rare players that he actually isn't even permitted to sign an offer sheet, even if he wanted to with another team. He's kind of unique because he's 24, entering his second contract, so he's close to when he could become a UFA. And so he's the rare player that really, I don't think, wants to do a long-term deal on his second contract because of that fact. And so, I don't expect he's going to go back to Russia. But if he went back, it would be a big story and a huge loss for the Wild because, he's the main reason that team, I think, took a step this year. I mean, Joel Eriksson-Ek had a great year. They had a lot go right for them, but he was the special sauce that they've been missing.
Well, and I talked about changing the conversation. Like, he changed the conversation on the Wild. And it's never been that they're good or bad. It's that they're boring. And kind of irrelevant. And I'm not even saying that to be a jerk. Like, it's, who was tripping over themselves to watch a Minnesota Wild game. And then,
Tom Lecision certainly was.
He certainly was, but I think it's because of Kaprizov.
Yes, and because they were winning him a lot of money on his bets. So
that too. I would love him too. Imagine betting on the Leafs. Couldn't be me. I actually, who I bet on a few times this year? The Sabres.
Did you win any of them?
I did not, and I missed their ending the streak by 1 game.
Oh man,
Vegas with their best chance of the period right there.
Speaking of bad bets, I'm sorry if anyone listened to me and took the over 1.5 here. This is suddenly in serious peril.
Well, there's lots of time, man. There's lots of time.
Sports Interactive's like already counting your money if you made that bet based on my recommendation.
Yeah, well, we did good in game 2, man. We were 3 for 3.
I know. I wanted to keep that alive though, and I felt compelled to that one. I wasn't even guessing. I felt like I knew that one.
Just see, now I'm cheering for him. No, hold the line and score, and then Montreal could come the other way and tie it. You know, it's not about cheering for a team. We're cheering for goals. That's all we're doing. We want to win.
The game's too composed, though. It's hard to imagine 2 goals going in these last couple minutes.
Hard to imagine.
Unless you got it to 22 there, bar down.
Pacioretty's got to get one here.
Well, look at that. Suzuki, he's feeling it.
I spoke to Andrew Berkshire about this because he's big into the statistics. And by the way, we'll be getting him, I think, first intermission. But how do you, if your thing is stats models, how on earth do you account for this phenom coming out of college with 0 NHL games played? How do you account for that? Like, he's just such a monkey wrench in the whole thing. Whoa!
Yeah, but I think that, like, the one thing statistics do a good job of is they can look at every other player that's had an age, whatever, 20 season or 21 season in college, you know, and compare how their production curves went. I think that there's ways that they can at least project what he'll be. But you're right. You don't know for sure. I mean, the Canadiens, first of all, they signed him to his entry-level deal out of Wisconsin, and, he practiced on the taxi squad for a while. I know he played a couple games in the American Hockey League with Laval, but they didn't rush him right into the lineup, and that was at a time they were struggling. Now, part of that was related to the amount of call-ups they could have at that period, and, there's cap considerations and all this involved, but, I think if they had a view of him becoming this so quickly, maybe he might have played even more games at the end of the regular season, but you just don't know. And, pretty wild year for this guy. He's played here, there, and everywhere. World Juniors, Wisconsin, a couple games with the Laval Rocket. Now he's in the 3rd round of the playoffs with the Montreal Canadiens. Scored a goal in front of his parents there in the game in Vegas. I mean, what a cool run and what a year that Cole Caulfield will never forget, no matter how it ends up here in these next few weeks.
Josh Anderson.
Whoa!
Leonard is huge, eh? You weren't kidding.
He's a large man.
It's not even just tall, and there's something about the way he wears his uniform. He looks like the Mountain from that show. Game of Thrones. Sorry, it took me a sec. It's 2021. Like, we just recycle pop culture so quickly. It's easy to forget. While we still got you,
yeah.
Do you think, this is from Embarking Olive, do you think the Senators should go after Landeskog? They have the cap room to outbid Colorado.
I just don't believe he's leaving Colorado at the end of the day. Like, I have a hard time seeing a divorce there. Anything's possible. Obviously, the Avalanche have some tough cap decisions coming up with Nathan McKinnon in the not too distant future. You got Cale Makar. You need a new contract. It's not going to be easy to keep the band together there, but that team's been so good. Disappointing season this year. I'd just be surprised if Landeskog walked away as the captain. Someone who's been there through some lean times and stuck it out. I guess if he hits the open market, I'm not against the idea for Ottawa. I think Ottawa, though, if they're going to spend money in free agency, I think that they're targeting, probably a frontline center if they could, or maybe even in trade. So I'm not sure I see the fit there completely, but I think part of that is because I still can't unlock the part of my brain where we're talking about Gabriel Landeskog actually being an unrestricted free agent on July 28th or 29th with the ability to sign with another team.
It just seems so unlikely.
Not a lot of guys willingly in the prime of their career walk away from a great organization and a team with lots, that's going to be good. Like, Tampa's been able to keep everybody because everyone wants to stay. It's an awesome place to live, an awesome organization. They get a chance to win the cup every year. I think that's the way players that are playing Colorado right now feel too. I know they haven't climbed the mountain fully yet, but if that team wins a cup in any of the next few years, I don't think anyone in hockey will be the least bit surprised.
All right, 2 goals in the next 28.5 seconds. Who's scoring them?
We're going to get a Corey Perry goal off a shin pad.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get a goal from Vegas, Tomas Nosek.
All right. Well, we're down to 15.5, but we have an icing. So here comes the Nosek.
I should have picked Danault.
Oh,
that would have been a real gutsy pick to get off the schneid in the playoffs,
No, you got to save him for the OT winner.
That's true.
Right?
Right. Danault and Ryan Reeves will be my picks in overtime.
Aggressive. I like it.
Yeah, I love this.
Oh, he was on the ice. Come on.
That would have been great.
It would have been so good. I'd be like, so everyone put money down on Perry right now.
Voodoo.
All right, we go to intermission, and I believe that will be Montreal's 11th shot. They outshoot Vegas 11-4 in the first period, but Robin Leonard standing tall, figuratively and literally. Chris Johnston, good sir. I'm going to let you get back to the barbecue et al. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Continue being the juggernaut that you are. And thanks for joining Watch a Habs Game with Steve Dangle, sir.
No problem. Enjoy La Belle Provence.
Go Nordiques.
And Habs. And Golden Knights.
Yeah, go Habs. For sure. I just said it. Everyone clip it, throw it online and everything. Watch a Habs Game with Steve Dangle. Click like, click subscribe. We'll be right back. I'm going to take a quick break because I'm a human and I drink a lot of water. Hey everybody, Steve Dangle here, and welcome back to Watch a Habs Game. See how I got the right team that time? Good for me. Welcome back to Watch a Habs Game with Steve Dangle. I'm Steve Dangle. We're here on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Click like, click subscribe. Tell all your friends that Andrew Berkshire is here once again. How you doing there, friend?
I'm doing great. I'm chilling out here. Happy Father's Day, Steve. Your first
Thank
one.
you. Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you very much. We had a decent day here of moderate to okay behavior from numbers 1 and 2. We went to a water park. That was pretty fun.
Nice.
And decent bedtime. Kisha's already downstairs hanging out and doing research for her little exercise classes that she does.
Yeah, last time you were on, you had a tough bedtime. You were
Yeah,
saying.
I don't think she was down here until like 9:30. So it was rough. Today she's been down since like 20 after 8.
We do have a little bet ski to look at, or some odds to look at, by the way. Sports Interaction. Providing competitive odds on all sports. Sports Interaction is Canada's odds maker. 19 plus. Play responsibly. All that stuff that you should know, and you do know, but I'm telling you anyway. First team to score. We got Vegas and the Habs. I mean, I don't understand how you wouldn't put a bet on the Habs. They just outshot Vegas 11-4. Are you seeing these odds? Are they there on your screen?
Yes. I'm gonna go Vegas. I just think there's something. They've gotten a few real dangerous chances in this game. I think Price has looked like fine, like nothing wrong with him, but they've had some pretty decent chances that have just like glanced off sticks on open nets. So I think Vegas is gonna get a weird one here early on.
Interesting. I was wrong about the first goal last time. I was so good. I got cocky after game 2 when I went 3 for 3. And I think I had a brutal game 3. I don't remember what the final tally was, but it wasn't pretty for me.
Isn't that how betting works? You get on a hot streak and then you're like, and wrong.
It doesn't have to be.
No,
it doesn't have to be. You can nail it. You could have horrible luck. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You say Vegas, I say Montreal.
One of us will be right.
One of us will be right. Guaranteed.
No one ever scores the rest of the game. 500 overtimes.
Can you imagine? What would they do? Like, what's the contingency if you get to like the 8th overtime? I guess we'll just never know.
I hope we never have to find out. But I'd imagine that at a certain point they call it and they're like, okay, these guys need to sleep.
What is resume game 3?
Yep. Like, go back out the next day, I guess. Start again at 8 o'clock.
We got a question here from Levi from the chat. What did the wife bake this time, Andrew? So last time it was a blueberry bar?
Yeah, she doesn't bake every day. She doesn't bake on weekends either because 2 little rugrats running around gets real tough. But right. For Father's Day, she picked me up a delicious raspberry and passion fruit mousse cake with a pistachio center.
Okay.
It was out of this world.
This morning I had my first ever homemade eggs Benedict.
Oh yeah.
Hollandaise. Oh, dude. I would have become a dad sooner if I knew. Come on.
Hollandaise is that hit where you're like, this is so amazing. And you're like, I can already feel it clogging my arteries.
Oh, I know.
Like, you can feel it going down. It's just so thick, and it's going there. It's going right to the heart every time.
Hollandaise is the ultimate. I'm here for a good time, not a long time food. Eli says, are the Habs going up 3-1 in this series? I'm going to say no. I just have a feeling about tonight. What do you think?
I think if Vegas came out rocking after that goaltending change, I think the Canadiens might have been a little bit more on the ropes, but that period was mostly all Canadians, right? And I can see them taking this game. They just haven't had many back-to-back bad games, and like the last one was probably their worst game since the Leafs series. And I don't know, there's something about this team, man. You look at them, and even like Shea Weber, I have to laugh because like he's playing a very simple game, right? But he's not letting anybody get by him, and you can tell that people are frustrated. Even Gustafsson ran into him in the neutral zone in that game, and Weber like shoved him over. He's like, "Get out of my way!" His own teammate, he's like, "Just get out of here." Our friend Omar, Tic Tac Omar on Twitter, clip that if you want to go check out his feed.
How was I going to ask this? So statistically, the fancy stuff. CJ brought up that Phillip Danault didn't have the best season production-wise, and that he hadn't scored in these playoffs. And I'm like, that has to be a mistake. Has to be. We're 14 games in. He's only got 2 assists. What do the more underlying numbers say about him? Because if you were just looking at counting stats, he's not doing well. But obviously, he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink for this team defensively up front.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't have access to the stuff that I used to for the last 5 years, but I can tell you based on history that Phil Danault is an absolute puck hound. With or without the puck, opposing players, they just can't win puck battles against him. Like he's just incredible. He's tenacious. He's always going to be first on the puck. He's like what he's doing right now. Him and Lehkonen in that first period as well are Mark Stoning Mark Stone. They're just taking away all of his space, picking the puck off of his stick, and he's got to be so frustrated. He looked frustrated in that first period. He made some great plays still, but he looked frustrated that he just can't get the space that he's used to. It's what he does to everyone else. And Danault, over the last 3 years heading into this one, I'm pretty sure was first or second in the league in loose puck recoveries. And that's like the thing that Patrice Bergeron does, right? So he is an incredible defensive hockey player. He still has some lapses. Like there's different things that are good defense, say like at even strength versus on the penalty kill, where the penalty kill, like somebody who's really good at dumping the puck out becomes very useful on the penalty kill, but is not very useful necessarily at even strength because that's not always the best play. So Danault's not the most amazing penalty killer. He's still good though, but at even strength, just incredible defensive presence. And he's actually like, I don't know if I would say he's a great passer, but he's a good playmaker in that his forechecking ability and puck winning ability creates a lot of chances for his line mates. And he ends up getting like, if you look at his 5-on-5 numbers only over the past several years, his assist numbers are great. His primary assist numbers are great. Even his goal scoring at even strength until this year was decent. It's just he's very bad on the power play, and he's not that great on the penalty kill. So he's a really tough player to evaluate because it's easy to get caught up in the 5-on-5 stuff because that's what we have the best data for. But when you're not a great special teams player and you're great at 5-on-5 and your overall numbers kind of look like third liney, even though you're playing first line minutes, I think that's where you get a lot of people who are thinking, well, this guy just sucks. He's only on this top line because they don't have anyone else. But really, he's on there because that top line is incredible with him on it. He just doesn't necessarily partake in the goal scoring.
He's a strange player, and he was acquired by a strange GM. And this is one of my favorite, and I'm just going to say it's our most underrated trade tree video that we've done. And when you're done watching the stream, I highly encourage you to go back to the Sportsnet YouTube channel and check this out. It's the Rafael Diaz trade tree, and which is probably why it's only got 57,000 views, which is low for the trade tree. Not exactly a big name player, but get this. So here's what happens. It's just a straight up deal. Rafael Diaz goes from Montreal to Vancouver. Dale Weiss goes from Vancouver to Montreal. That's it. That's the trade. That's how this all starts. The Canucks trade Diaz for a 5th-round pick. That 5th-round pick turns into Adam Gaudette, and the update to that is Gaudette turns into Matthew Highmore. Here's what happens for the Habs, dude. Dale Weiss is packaged with Thomas Fleischmann and sent to the Chicago Blackhawks for Phillip Danault and a 2nd-round pick in 2018, who turns into Alexander Romanov.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all. Extremely good. Sorry, I like to nerd out with the trade trees.
Yeah, I was thinking the first thing that when you brought that up, the Rafael Diaz trade, I was like, yeah, I was on record as hating that trade for the Canadiens. Dale Weiss, to that point in his career, was like a fringe 4th-line player, and then immediately upon going to Montreal, they were like, well, let's just put you on the Pacioretty line. And he like scored a couple goals, and they were like, okay, we're gonna put him on the power play too. And he scored at like a 13 goal pace or something like that. And everyone was like, see, you're an idiot. Terrian's a genius. And like, yeah, well, you're putting him with Max Pacioretty, and on the power play, he's going to score some goals. But he had a really good Montreal Canadiens career, Dale Weiss. He was definitely one of those guys who thought he was a superstar when he got the puck, which is not like to say a bad thing, but he was, maybe playing a little bit above his weight in the lineup. But at times, he was really fantastic for them. Their 2014 playoff run, he was a killer. Scored one of the most memorable goals of that entire playoff run in Game 3. It was just overshadowed by the fact that PK Subban scored a breakaway goal out of the penalty box. But yeah, incredible career with Montreal, and also part of a great trade for Montreal that really set them up for the last several years, where they haven't done a lot, but Danault's been such a huge piece of that team.
Well, they're doing a lot now. Oh, there we go. Carey Price, by the way, with a really good stop there, as we were sort of chatting. Singir Gore asking a question about one of the more underrated storylines, I think, with the Montreal Canadiens in these playoffs. Thoughts on Drouin not being in the playoffs, and with the Habs' recent performance without him, do you think they try to keep him going forward? Well, let me just jump in. I mean, his value couldn't be lower at the moment, which is maybe why you try to keep him. But I'm not sure. What do you think?
What's going on with Drouin right now is very hush-hush. Nobody is, I don't think, even asking about it because they asked for privacy, and I have to commend the media in Montreal that they're actually not pushing, because that usually doesn't happen.
You're right.
It's. I think it's been a very, very classily handled situation all around by literally everyone, and I hope that whatever is going on with Jonathan Drouin gets resolved. You're right, his value is probably not very high around the league. He's a playoff performer, though, and I think they do miss him a lot. He was another guy this season that he started absolutely on fire for the Montreal Canadiens. Best defensive season of his career by far. He was just doing all the little things that people expected of Drouin the whole time, and he just hasn't been able to figure it out. And the only thing that wasn't working was goal scoring. And, part of it is, he's had wrist injuries that he's had to deal with. And part of it is just, man, when your confidence goes, it just goes, right? It's just hard to recover from that, especially in a shortened season where you're never really getting a break. And I think you can't trade him at this point because the value is so low, and he is a really solid player, and his contract I don't think is unreasonable at all. So I think he has to be on the team next year if he is recovered from whatever he's going through and wants to play.
Do you think there could be a potential fit, like a fresh start fit with Seattle?
Maybe. I mean, if he wants out of the market, that would be something that they would probably do, just because I know Marc Bergevin has a lot of respect for Jonathan Drouin. Like, he did go out and pay a big price to get him. He likes Drouin, the person. If that's what happens, I think that would be, what Drouin wants. And obviously, you have to cater a little bit, almost a flurry there.
Jeez.
What players want.
If you're a goaltender, tend the goal. I mean, it's Carey Price. I'm not going to tell him what to do, but come on. Jeez. Crouchy in the chat asking, Vegas looking much better in this period, by the way. Would Andrew let Danault walk for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? It's nothing against you, Crouchy. It's just free agent questions like that I hate, because they feel like a waste of time because there are so many factors. But assuming you have two willing players, who would you take?
I think you have to look at salary, right? And I don't think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins brings that much more to the table overall based on what he's going to get in terms of salary. I think Danault's going to be a lot cheaper, not necessarily a lot shorter term, but he's not going to take like an 8-year deal to get done or a 7-year deal, I don't think. And the contract that was on the table before the season that CJ was talking about in the first period might be more than what he signs for now after the year that he had. I mean, unless they win the cup, then everything changes.
They win the cup or even make the cup final. I mean, for God's sake, they're 6 wins away from the cup right now. I just can't imagine a situation where Danault makes less based on that. That is a choice. Gallagher.
That was a choice.
Leonard with the stop. That was a choice. Did you see who that was?
Nope.
Oh my God, that happened so fast. I don't know who that was at the point, but that was a choice. Holden? Martinez? Oh,
The
Tuck?
dive.
Maybe. It's so hard to see. Surely not Stone. No, I think it was Tuck. No, it was Stone. What? Of all people?
Well, Stone was the guy who dove to try to stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, like, you don't bother with the dive and you just skate backward. You're fine.
Yeah, they're lucky that was Brendan Gallagher, who doesn't have a lot of confidence in his shot, versus like if Josh Anderson was on the ice there. That would have been
an interesting little stat there from Sportsnet. So Gallagher was skating at 36.4 kilometers an hour. And I know because I was a nerd in elementary school. Although I was bad at math, I was a nerd. I know that's roughly like the Olympic speed for the 100-meter dash.
Hockey's fast, man.
Hockey's fast. You would not win gold with that speed, but you'd be in there.
Yeah.
Qualify.
The Canadiens' Twitter account last game showed like an ice level highlight of the game-winning goal in overtime, and I forget who retweeted it, but they were saying like hockey's just a different game when you watch from ice level, like how fast it is. And it was jarring watching how quickly that goal happened versus like the overhead view. Like, no wonder everyone who plays like NHL plays it on like the overhead view where it's just panning back and forth, right? You're not playing on the Via Pro style all the time.
Yeah. Boy, Carey Price is a big boy. Got bumped into there. It didn't look on purpose or anything, but he just shoves him right off. Whoa! Okay.
Corey Perry takes some licks, man.
He had an unbelievable first period. I can't believe he didn't score. This game is picking up, dude.
Yep. The rush chances are starting.
Montreal's been such a fascinating team because my instinct is to say, run and gun style, this benefits Vegas, but Montreal's not afraid.
No. No, they've got some underrated guys on there. I mean, even guys who don't score necessarily a lot. Like, you don't really want to play a game of run and gun against Paul Byron, because he's going to beat your defenseman.
Yep. Yes. What else we got from the chat? Ew. Okay, I'm going to let you answer this one.
All right, sounds good.
From
Always
Tanner.
good to have an ew.
Yeah. Would you rather be a Sabres fan moving forward or relive the last 10 years of the Leafs?
Last 10 years of the Leafs, no question.
Oh, I disagree, man. I disagree. Well, okay, here's the problem. Reliving the last 10 years, they never make it out of the first round. Right?
Sure.
Going forward with the Sabres, they're awful, but at least it's the mystery box.
You know what? The mystery box could be worse than what they've already been dealing. Like, they're going to deal Jack Eichel soon. Like, do you have confidence that the Buffalo Sabres are going to get equal value to Jack Eichel after, like, the Ryan O'Reilly trade? And no offense to their general manager, but he's not experienced. Like, what's happened with that team over the last year has been really rough. It's hard to see hope on the horizon for Buffalo. So, like, at least in Toronto, you get to watch some fun regular season stuff.
That's true.
And like it's one thing to have your heart crushed, but you have to have hope for that to happen. The Sabres have never, in the last 10 years, and probably going forward for a good stretch here, they haven't had any crushing moments because there's nothing to crush. You never get that high.
Right. They had like a 10-game winning streak that one time, still missed the playoffs.
Yeah, all those shootout wins.
All those. Wasn't that the first time in NHL history? Didn't two teams have a 10-game winning streak that season and both missed? I think it was the Sabres.
Was Montreal, wasn't it?
I thought it was the Flyers.
Oh, it might have been. I know Montreal's done it as well. Or maybe it was a 9-game winning streak, but they did it like 2 years in a row where they started like 9-1 or like 13-0-4 or something like that, and they missed both times. One of them, Carey Price, was injured, right? But he missed the entire rest of the season essentially. But yeah, the Mike Condon year, as many think about. I'm sure many people think about that name all the time.
Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle, by the way, on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Click like, click subscribe. Duke wants us to have a little conversation about the lack of power plays for Montreal in this series. No, Dom Ducharme was very diplomatic after game 1, saying, well, Vegas played a clean game. And I'm like, you know what? I can't think of too many egregious missed calls on Vegas for game 1. So good on you, Dom. And then I started watching games 2 and 3, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think he was being sarcastic. I think it was pretty heavily. Yeah, I think it was pretty heavily sarcastic. I think he just didn't want to go out and, essentially whine about the refereeing and have it blow up on him. Because I find usually that doesn't work. Like, I remember in all the Canadiens Bruins series, and it was always like, because the Canadiens were small and fast, right? And the Bruins were big and pound you into the ground. And eventually the Canadiens would start drawing more penalties because they would go to the net and the Bruins were a little bit slower and they'd hook and hold. And so Claude Julien would do a press conference about how there's so much diving and it's a disgrace to our game. And then someone would release a super cut of Marchand just like diving the whole series. And every single time you would expect that to happen. In like maybe one period, the Bruins would get a bunch of calls and then it would all go back to the same thing. So it never really works, I don't think, appealing to the refs. Like behind the scenes, maybe if you talk to the league. But I mean, in the era of COVID, I think everyone expected that having these two refs back this game was not going to happen, but obviously it did. And I know CJ expected there to be more calls because of the backlash against those two refs. But I think the NHL is just, whenever people criticize what they're doing, especially their officials, they harden their hearts. They're like, this is it. We're just going to do it harder. We're going to be even worse. And honestly, the worst missed call in the first period was on the Canadiens, that cross-check from behind.
Edmondson.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're slandering. I got a lot of jerseys here in my room, and actually, do you want to see? I got a jersey for everyone's favorite player.
Who's that?
Right here. Right here. This is a jersey for everyone's favorite player, who everyone pays the big bucks to see. Right here. Let's go, refs. Let's go, refs.
Did Ron McLean get you that one? Or because I know you don't buy your own stuff.
Yeah, he got me that as a Christmas gift. Thank you, Ron. He wrote a poem about it.
How many
memorized? That dude has forgotten more things than I remember. Like he's just brilliant with all that stuff. Ew. Okay, Liam, who's the better golfer, Marner or Matthews? This is a Habs game, Steve. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up, Liam. Oh, do you think, I can't remember who asked this. It was a bunch of questions ago. Oh! Almost one for Stone there. This line has really got to get going for Vegas to have any hope, eh?
Yep, they really do. And like, if you watch again on that play, Pacioretty kind of double clutches, right? It's been an all series for him. He was incredible these playoffs until this series started. And it's not that he's playing bad. It's just little things that he usually does that he's just not as quick on the puck.
So last time you were with us, you had an amazing quote from a source about Max Pacioretty. Can you repeat that for us, please?
Yeah, sure. It was just a guy I know that's friends with Max, and he said that like Max cares too much about winning this series, and he's gonna struggle to get it done just because he's too invested. Whereas like another series, you can just not think it's about your team. You do the things you regularly do, but he's in his own head a little bit. And whenever you get emotional and you're too invested like that, especially a guy like Max, who everything is touch and go because you're a pure goal scorer, right? You have to be on your game. I guess he just caught that puck in the air, so it's not as much of a good example as I thought it was on the choppy replay. But he's had several chances where he's elected to pass, or he's waited a half second more than he would have to shoot. Maybe he comes alive here and dominates the rest of the series, but so far he hasn't had the great chances, or at least he hasn't converted on the great chances that I expect him to. And I don't mean even in goals, just getting the shots that I expect him to.
So we have a good question that I'm going to add to. So there's Anthony. Do the Islanders actually have what it takes to beat Tampa? Now, what I wanted to add to that is I saw a really interesting quote. No team can win games the way the Islanders are, except for the Islanders. Do you think there's something to that?
No, I think maybe no team can win that way unless their coach is Barry Trotz. Like,
Okay.
you have utter and complete buy-in from every player in the lineup, and they're gonna play your system to a T. You know, so much of their system is about puck management, right? Like, you just aren't gonna catch them making many mistakes. You have to create your own, and Tampa is a team that can do that. They can beat Tampa. This is hockey, right?
Yeah.
In a series where you put the best team in the league against the worst team that makes the playoffs, the worst team in the playoffs is going to win the series like 35% of the time. Like, I know Dom Lucian's, I think that he had the Habs at like 20 something percent against the Leafs, and the 23% in this series as well. But I don't think the odds in hockey really skew that far, even if the numbers going into it, like from a spreadsheet perspective, they do. It's just such a random sport. They're not even playing with a ball. They're playing with a disc, a rubber disc that bounces in ways that you can't predict on the ice with boards. It's like one of the only sports with boards. So it's like so many things can change out of nowhere. Plus you've got goalies that can go on heaters. It's really tough to predict this sport. It's just a crazy, crazy sport. So can the Islanders beat the Lightning? Yes. Will they? It's unlikely, even though they're tied at 2. But I'm here for it. Chaos, man.
I do like those fans. Those fans are absolutely wild, and I do like seeing a pack barn that could have been something for Anderson. I do like seeing a pack barn going that ballistic after the last year and a half that we've had. And Vegas is starting to sort of get something going here. I don't like that I'm really, I don't know. I feel like I'm moving the goalposts for them a little bit.
Getting out of that first period, not down a goal, was huge for them.
I agree with that.
Which was the same thing for the Canadiens last game, right? Is not trailing after the first or second.
Our first goal bet is still up in the air. I can't believe that.
It'll be in overtime. Just watch.
Buddy, well, that means I'll get to have a beer. That's the rule. Games that go to overtime, I have a beer.
Perfect.
It would have made the first round so much more enjoyable, although I would have got like 2 sips in game 5. Cracked the beer, and Galchenyuk went away.
Oh, poor Chucky. He had such a great game that game too.
Oh, he was such a huge part of that comeback, and I was saying to CJ earlier, he was like, if you could change the course of any game, and that game immediately came to mind, because now the Leafs they're golfing. We're getting chirped in the comment section. They're losers and all that. You change the outcome of that game. They erase a 3-goal deficit. You got Muzzin doing this and Chucky having a big game. They win it in overtime. Oh, it's completely different. But never mind that. We're talking about the Habs. Talk about the Habs here. Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle here on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Oliver, what would you guys do if you had one day with the Cup after winning it?
Oh man, I don't even know. I was never good enough at sports to dream that big. Maybe when I was like a small child, and I'd be like, I'm gonna eat cereal out of it.
Well, let's say, I don't know. Let's say the Habs, Bergevin's like, I saw all that stuff you said about me, but I forgive you, and I'm hiring you to do stats for us. And then Montreal wins the Stanley Cup. You get a ring. You get a day with it. What do you do?
I mean, I'd say take it back to my hometown, but everyone that I know has moved away from my hometown now. So I don't think I'd bring it back there either. I'd probably just bring it here to Montreal and go around the streets, let everybody enjoy it with me.
Where's your hometown again? It's Fort Mac, right?
Well, I grew up in Moose Jaw originally, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and then I moved when I was 11 to Fort McMurray. So I guess like Moose Jaw is my hometown, like where I was raised, but I'd consider Fort McMurray my hometown just because you spend your adolescence there, right? Like you have more ingrained memories that you also can't recall because there's drinking involved. So like most of my friends that I'm still in touch with are from Fort McMurray, but everyone and their parents have left there because, between the fires, the flood, and then oil crashing, and then COVID, just like everyone moved away.
I think the more time the Cup spends in the city it was won for, the better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like no matter where you go, it'll be pandemonium. it'll be the best day ever. The one bit of advice I heard years ago from Brad May. He joined my campus radio show. God knows why. But he won in 2007 with the Ducks. And he goes, you need to take at least an hour to be selfish and have it for yourself. And I said, did you talk to it? And his response was, I was so drunk that it talked back. And that just, it feels like the perfect night. God, I want to win the Stanley Cup one day.
I don't think anybody could ever make it seem as fun as the Capitals did. That was an all-timer. Maybe Brett Hull. Brett Hull singularly.
Okay, so did he even win the cup, though? Or, like, is he just like a Blues ambassador?
I thought he was part of the team, but you're right, he might have just been an ambassador. I mean, each team kind of decides who is part of it. Like, he might have been in, like, president of something or vice president of something that they just do with former players. And you're like, yeah, you work for us, you take a small salary, you're part of the team. I don't know if his name's on the cup, I haven't checked. But, man, he sure enjoyed that, maybe more than any of the players did.
We went Blues!
Poor guy.
Garrett. There's another stop right in the logo. Garrett, are the Habs rewriting the North Division sucks narrative?
Yes. I think you know what I saw on Twitter last game was that actually it's the West Division that sucked, and Colorado and Vegas just beat up on the California teams all year, and that's why their numbers look so good. Fair point.
The same was said about the Central. It was a division with three monsters, 4 teams that sucked, and the Preds.
Yep.
Who were just sort of in the middle.
You know what the truth of the matter is? This is the first time in a very long time that we've had 4 really balanced divisions. So each division has some really bad teams, each division has some really good teams, and each division has some teams that are like okay but have some quality pieces, right? Like Winnipeg is not a great team, but between their high-level scorers and their like generational goaltending, they can win games they don't feel like they deserve to, right? So like they're not a team to take lightly. So it's one of those things where like everyone thinks that everyone else's division is terrible, aside from the one that their own team is in. But I think we just had really balanced divisions. I wish they would keep this, honestly. I know it's going to be tougher for travel than a normal division was, but like the only interdivision play obviously is never going to happen. But how great would it be to have like what the Premier League has, right? Or like any other soccer league where you have breaks in the schedule. You have cut down the regular season games to what we had this year, and then you have like little tournaments.
Sorry.
So you could have like a North Division champion.
Well, I already have the North Division champion shirt.
Yes, you gonna wear that in public anytime soon?
Never. My wife wears it to bed, and I don't even like that. Could get the first goal here. No, I think no matter how this series and season ends for Montreal, whether they lose to Vegas, they lose to whoever they play in the Cup final, or they win the Stanley Cup, they should get a North Division banner. Am I wrong?
Well, they wouldn't hang it anywhere.
I guess the Habs don't really do the division banner.
No, they don't have space for it.
Jeez, what a flex!
Well, it's just true, though. You go into the Bell Center, there's so many banners in there between the retired jerseys and the 24 cups. They just don't hang that stuff. Even in the practice facility in Brossard, I don't think on their like spare ice, I don't think they hang division or conference titles.
No. Why would you? Sorry, I forgot they're actually like good.
Historically, anyway.
Yeah. Oh. I gotta say, Leonard's been sharp. Like, this is not what I expected at all. Like, it's not even that he's been making the saves; it's how he's making them. Right? He doesn't look squirrely in there at all.
Yeah, he's not giving them great chances. I think they're gonna have to start lifting the puck a little bit, though. He's just so big down low. Like his pads are gigantic. He's such a big dude. You're gonna have to find space up higher.
Was it you or CJ who told me that the Habs have this strange record against tall goalies?
I don't think it was me.
I think it was CJ. He said they have some sort of statistical weakness against goalies over a certain height.
That's funny.
That's bizarre to me on account of most goalies are tall these days.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, thinking back to, like, the series against the Lightning with Ben Bishop, they, like, couldn't score on him at all. But then the year before that, where it was Anders Lindback, like, obviously, even if the guy's tall, it matters if they suck.
Yeah, he was. Oh, Anders Lindback. He was a guy. He was certainly a guy. He was a guy who I think I got his rookie card, and I remember being like, "Oh, this one's gonna take off."
The 6'8" goaltender.
How do you go wrong? Well, by not being able to stop pucks, I suppose.
Pretty much.
Brendan Gallagher looks skyward. Shots are 18-9 in favor of Montreal, but we got nothing so far. Nothing on the score sheet. Now, okay, I'm trying not to talk about the Leafs too much on account of this is watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. These are coming from the chat.
Okay,
but
let's go.
Habs fans watching. The good news is it's chirping the Leafs. So it's
well, that's what I was gonna say. No Habs fan should be upset about bringing up the Leafs because all it is an opportunity to flex.
An opportunity to flex, an opportunity to dump on them. Like, you don't need to tell me they suck. I know. This question.
Still tell him.
Yeah, but still tell me. This question from Swag Juice. Do you know Swag Juice there, Andrew? Is that what you're drinking?
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm drinking.
For sure.
Pure caffeine.
There you go. He or she says, if you had to bet right now, who goes further in the playoffs next year, the Leafs or the Seattle Kraken?
Ooh. You know, this is one of those things where I didn't believe in the Leafs for the longest time, and this year, for like, you can look back. I've been on like Sportsnet 590 multiple times this year, talking about, like, you know, we all talk about the Leafs as chokers, but they only really disappointed against the Blue Jackets. All the other series they were supposed to lose, so they're unfairly labeled. And this year they've got that swagger. This is going to be the year they bust through. So don't believe me, but I am fairly confident that the Leafs can rebound and win a series next year. I don't.
Well,
Seattle
see
win
this
too. Team failing forever. Yeah, I mean Seattle. Yeah, Seattle has a tougher road to climb, I think, than Vegas did, because teams realized they gave up too much for Vegas. I think they're going to be far more stingy in the trade situation. Like, I don't think they're going to get a Marchessault and a Riley Smith so that they don't take a fifth defenseman.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. And this is something I'm starting to tell people more.
It's true. Hockey man is going to hockey man.
Okay, oh yeah. Everyone learned their lesson from Vegas. That's not going to happen. One, you're talking about NHL general managers here. Are you joking me? Two,
well, only a couple need to learn a lesson, right? And then it's tougher.
I don't think they've learned a thing, any of them. But the other issue here is the pandemic is a huge factor. So
sure.
Cash and also a stagnant salary cap. You can't tell me that in an expansion draft where the cap has stayed put for 2 consecutive years and no one has any actual money, that they're not going to try to work out deals with a team that, as of right now, has 0 players. Or no, they have 1 guy.
There's a hit from behind.
Yeah, I was looking into the camera. I missed that. Who was it?
I don't know who it was for Vegas, but I think it was on Weber, actually. Weber or Sherratt. That was on Weber.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, see, he wants to go.
Uh-oh. I don't know if I opened that door there, Thomas.
No, I mean, honestly, if you can avoid getting hurt, do it. Take him off the ice if you're Vegas, right? You're going to win that battle. Nosek for Weber?
Is it Thomas Nosek or Stefan?
Thomas, I think.
Thomas. I feel like he has a brother. Anyway, doesn't matter. Well, Weber's not going to fight him, though, because doesn't he have the hand injury? Also, he's Shea Weber.
That's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, geez. There hasn't been a power
Look at
play
all the hits back Weber takes, though. We talk about things not getting called. Like, Weber gets away with so much. Just like that veteran immunity. Like, some of the younger people who are watching, I know a lot of your fans are younger, which is awesome because I think hockey needs younger fans. But for you and I, do you remember, like, end of his career, Chris Chelios, like the last 5 years with Detroit, and how he would literally just get away with murdering anybody on the ice, and the rest were like, well, it's Chris Chelios. He's like 40.
So, okay, Weber's in the box right now. Is Nosek not going? Oh, it's 4-on-4. Okay. Sorry, I was pulling up. Just pulling up Hockey DB for a sec. Chris Chelios, you got to understand, this dude's career began in 1983, and he played until 2010. Like, what are the odds he's not going to be like a little bit of a fish out of water? Like, hockey from 1983 is not the bloody same.
Chris Chelios was dirty in the 80s too. Like, let's not kid a kidder. Like, he was a fantastic player, but he had a mean streak longer than Canada's border with the United States.
He played, to put that into context, Chris Chelios played, open ice here. This could benefit Vegas. Look at them. Big stop from Price. That's a decent little bat pass, but Montreal gets it. Chris Chelios played from the beginning of Wayne Gretzky's, I think, 5th year in the NHL until several months after Sidney Crosby scored the gold medal goal in Vancouver.
That's ridiculous.
Like, that's wild. This is, speaking of wild, this 4-on-4 is maybe the fastest pace we've seen.
Yeah, a little bit of extra space, I think, definitely benefits Vegas a little bit with their superior puck movement.
Producer Drew, maybe with help from the chat, I am maybe getting Thomas Nosek confused with Stefan Nason.
That could be.
There's just so many names, man. There's so many names. It was a weird pass, and it somehow worked. Oh, maybe not. Oh, maybe not.
Oh, off the skate.
Man, oh, man. Vegas, this game seems hell-bent on giving it away. Oh, here they come. And we're going to get a power play, and it's going to be Montreal. Habs fans, you're right.
After this game, like, I understand every Habs fan who's pissed, you know? Like, I think they've both gotten away with calls in this game, but one thing that I've noticed in this series is that when the Canadiens dominate for periods of time, just nothing gets called, no matter what, no matter how much Vegas is hooking and holding. But the moment that the Vegas Golden Knights start to really cycle, it gets called immediately. Something gets called. So I understand the frustration from Canadiens fans. It's probably not as poorly officiated as any fan from any side actually believes, but it's been one-sided, that's for sure.
So right there back at the point, that was Mark Stone interfering with John Merrill, in my opinion. So this is Suzuki with the hook on Martin. I mean, the stuff that they've been getting away with, I don't know.
Nobody knows what's a penalty anymore, right? Like,
well, and it's one of those things where it is a penalty, right? But
4-on-3 power play is much more dangerous than 5-on-4. Even if it's only 2 seconds, they've got a couple seconds before Weber in the box is going to be able to come out.
Right. So, that's an interesting one. So Weber's going to come out, and so is Nosek.
They're going to try to find Pacioretty for the one-timer right off the face-off. They win it. That's my guess. Pietrangelo, no, didn't go right away.
He didn't get the win he wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. This is such a turning point in the game. So it is a penalty. I think we can agree. But it's not based on the game that we've seen so far.
Montreal bobbles the puck.
Oh, that was so close to a 2-on-1. But on that very shift, you know, to me, you can get away with a lot as long as it doesn't affect possession. But what Stone did with that little bump on Merrill absolutely affects possession. But again, that little bump, you're never going to call it in a million years based on how this game has been officiated. I don't know how they decided this is the call. This is going to be the game's first power play.
Look at the fight from Lehkonen to win that puck. 3 Golden Knights on him.
Not a bad player, right? Wasn't he a healthy scratch at certain points?
Yeah, I mean, he's another one of those guys that the Canadiens have that is good at certain things and just really struggles to put the puck in the net. They find a lot of those guys. I think Marc Bergevin and his team are very good at evaluating guys who bring not necessarily intangibles, but things people call intangibles, things that new stats are kind of finding valuable. And they just aren't able to put it together in terms of goal scoring at the NHL level. But Lehkonen's a weird one because his goal scoring before coming to the NHL was spectacular. Like for Frölunda, he was in his last year there, I believe he was the highest scoring player in his age group since Alfredsson.
Wow.
Daniel Robertson. Like he had a playoffs there. I believe Frölunda won the championship in the Swedish Hockey League. Swedish Hockey League fans can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was their leading scorer with a bullet. He scored like 13 goals or something like that in their playoff run.
That's staggering. I mean, yeah, that you see those numbers and you don't even have to go to any of the games. You go, yep, okay, we're gonna take a chance on. Yeah. Oh, and he happens to be fast. We got a Vegas timeout here. That's interesting.
I think they know they need to cash here.
I don't know. There's a lot on the line with your timeout. What if you got to review something?
It's true. But how many games do coaches go where they just never call the timeout, right?
Right. That was not to make it about the Leafs, but that was a big thing with Sheldon Keefe is early in his tenure with the team, he called one almost every game, even when they were winning.
Yeah. I kind of love that. But you know what's the best is if you're like winning and you just like call a timeout in the last minute. Like remember when Paul McLean did that actually against the Canadiens? They were winning something like 6-0, and they called a timeout in the last minute. And Michel Therrien lost his mind. He absolutely lost his mind. And I was like, that's epic trolling. But I just, if I was a coach, that's the kind of stuff that I would do. I'd bring all the guys over and be like, good job, boys.
Why not? Oh! How good has Petro been in this series?
Incredible.
Oh my goodness.
That's not a penalty? Didn't know what his feet taken out there, it looked like.
Oh. Man, oh man. Montreal with yet another kill.
Yep.
I mean, if you're Vegas, I know you just came close there, but isn't it a bit of a wasted... Oh, never mind. I was going to say, isn't it a bit of a wasted timeout because Montreal literally has not allowed a... Oh, baby! Here we go! And he scores!
Oh! Whoa! Paulie Byron.
Oh, Byron.
That dude is a killer. The Calgary Flames, not to bash your boy Berkey, but the Calgary Flames put that man on waivers.
Is that how Montreal got him?
Yes. They got him, and then he scored 20 goals like 3 seasons in a row.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how they got him.
Too small for the big boy Flames.
I think they figured out how to lift it, eh?
Yep.
Oh, off the bar.
Oh, man.
What I was going to say about Vegas is it's a wasted timeout.
That defensive play, is that Weber?
Oh, yep.
Oh,
even though they got chances, it's a wasted timeout. It's Montreal's penalty kill, dude. Oh, dude, that thing barely touches the net. Paul Byron doesn't score often, but when he does, it's just the sexiest goal ever.
Yep.
Or assist or
feed to burn, man.
Oh, he's so good. And Vegas now is a minute away from heading into a third period where they could go down 3-1 in a series.
It's impossible to come back from 3-1.
Simply impossible.
No team would ever sell "It was 3-1" t-shirts for exorbitant prices. Even though I'm not like cheering for the team anymore, and I actually wanted to talk to you about your fandom in a little bit, but
sure.
Even though I'm not cheering for the team anymore, I almost bought that shirt because it's such an epic troll until I saw that the price tag on it was like $47, and I was like, not in this pandemic.
Oof. Is Montreal about to get a power play here?
Impossible.
It does seem impossible. Here's Paul Byron, speed to burn.
That's even better.
Oh, the way he receives it. Oh, God.
What a player he is, man.
Wasn't he a healthy scratch as well?
Probably in the regular season at one point. They had to put him on waivers for like salary cap considerations, but his contract, I think, has a couple more years left on it, and he's making like 3.5. That could definitely be an interference penalty. Yeah, they're calling it.
Is it interference on Anderson or holding on Martinez? Okay, it's interference on Martinez.
For sure.
Yeah, because Anderson's just fighting for ice there.
Yep. And Martinez like, I'm just gonna lean on you a little bit.
Yeah, the I fallen and I can't get up thing.
Yep. I was gonna talk to you. I plan to bring it up at some point in this. I know people don't want to talk about the Leafs, but like, you're a fan. How are you doing in your fandom right now? Are you still like hate these guys? Or are you starting to like, not necessarily look forward to next season, but like think about what can happen next season again.
No, they have to win me back because I'm watching this right now. I'm watching Corey Perry. I'm watching the enormous guys on defense on Montreal. I'm watching the enormous guys on defense on Vegas. I'm watching these dig deep plays, and I'm just like, oh my God, the team I cheer for does not have this, and may have it, but will never get the chance to prove it because they just do not have the killer instinct. And I mean, good for Montreal and everything, but I think you should be able to play a team that's even playing well. Ooh!
How do you not get called for that? McNabb is just bullying Suzuki.
I think he's about to.
Oh, man. But, what I was going to say is, essentially, don't let the rubber band break. Because, watching this playoff run, there have been moments where, like, man, I wish I was a fan again. And people ask me, like, why don't you just cheer for them? Why don't you just cheer for them? Like, go back. There's no shame in, like, going back. When the rubber band breaks and you're already an adult, I think it's hard to reform that, because it's not a choice anymore. You can't just choose to be a fan. Being a fan is an emotional thing, and it's a thing that you start out as a child, right? So like when I was a kid, I stopped being a Canadiens fan when they traded Patrick Waugh. I was like, I'm an Avalanche fan now. But then the whole Saku Koivu era kind of brought me back in a little bit, and as an adult, I was a fan again. Moved out here, experienced live Canadiens games for the first time, which was a huge thing. But as an adult now, I thought that if something like this did happen, I would have been pulled back in. But the fact is, like, it's just once that connection is severed, I think it's gone, and you can appreciate it, but you're never emotionally there anymore. So just don't let yourself get so down that you actually let the rubber band snap, because there is something special about it. There's like a piece of your childhood that's still, hard on your sleeve, what everyone loves about Steve Dangle. So don't let the Leafs do that to you.
So here we were going to go to break. I want to spend a couple more minutes on this. So you hit on something there. My rubber band is not allowed to break. And like, I know me better than anyone. And if the rubber band ever were to break, I could not fake it.
Yeah.
I'd have to do something else.
You can't fake the level of passion that you have. I'm like, nobody can. Yeah, I don't believe so.
I'd have to do something else. I'm interested to see how they pull me back in, because right now I am so checked out. I don't like when people, like, there was a picture of Bogosian, Marner, and Hall at like a resort or something, and people are like, oh, this makes me sick. Listen, they're allowed to live their lives, for God's sake, but there is an element of me where I'm just like, ugh, I don't even want to see your face. I don't even want to see you right now. And don't smile. How dare you look into the camera and smile? No, how dare you? Like, they gotta find a way to pull me back in. And there was this hilarious moment on the podcast where I was like, ugh, I hate these guys. They gotta find a way to pull me back in. And 2 minutes later, they signed Spezza, and I was like, oh, that's great.
I watched that, yeah.
Oh, God, I'm so hopeless. Who's not hopeless? The Montreal Canadiens, who are about to head into the third period with a 1-0 lead over the Vegas Golden Knights from a breakaway goal from Paul Byron. Andrew Berkshire, for goodness sake, before we go to break, I would like you to plug whatever you want to plug. Go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, you can check me out. I have a new-ish podcast with Mary Clark from For the Win at the USA Today called the Crosscheck NHL Podcast. We're getting bigger and bigger every week. We're trying to grow in a flooded market, so definitely check that out. And also, I write a column called By the Numbers for the Montreal Gazette.
Not bad, sir. Andrew Berkshire, thank you very much for joining us again. And, I won, didn't I? I bet on Montreal.
Yeah, you did.
Hey, there we go.
Finally, something a Toronto boy can win.
Oh, Jason. Okay, get off my show. Thanks
for having me, Steve.
Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle, who is right. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks, Berkshire. Ready. So, I was trying to tell everyone behind the scenes that I was ready to come back, and apparently you all heard that as well. It's a good thing I'm a good boy and never say anything bad ever. Ready for the third period, are you? Steve Dangle here. Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. That's what it's called. Here on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Click like, because I said so. Click subscribe, because it's good for you. And 9 out of 10 doctors recommend it. The other doctor is a Leafs fan, and he's still not over it. And I would suggest he did. Have some water, go outside, touch grass, and get over it. And join the phenomenon that is watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. Hey, I want to see if I'm wearing pants. Let's play that game. Is Steve wearing pants? Put up the pants graphic. I want it. Thank you. I want the glowing pants graphic. Chat, you have 10 seconds. 10. To type into the chat whether or not you think I'm wearing pants. 10, 9. Count slow. All right, yes, I'm wearing jeans. I'm also barefoot because it's hot down here. I had to wear the jeans again because, like, look at that. I saw the screen cap of last time. I do glute bridges every morning. It's actually for my low back pain. But, like, did someone order a dump truck? Anyway, folks, had to do a little outfit change. Because even though the Montreal Canadiens are entering the third period with the lead and also a power play, what I'm wearing right now is very quickly turning into a Vegas Golden Knights jersey. So because we don't have the broadcast in my ears, because between the chat and producer Drew getting screamed at in the game, between all of that, it would be too much to have the game audio. But I am reliably told that Craig Simpson, who I didn't know had the capacity to get upset, teed off on the officials for this game. Now, we talked about it with CJ. Aaron, Steve, the refs? Exclamation mark, 3 question marks. It's a great question, Aaron. So we were talking about it with CJ. They're going to have the same officials for games 1 through 4. This is game 4. Same officials. COVID is a factor. It is what it is. Here's the thing. The officiating in this series does not become a storyline because it would be, in normal times, it would be different from game to game to game. So in game 1, if you don't like the call from that crew, that's okay. Game 2, it's probably going to be a different crew. Or at very least game 3. So, maybe one guy is going to miss tripping more than the other. Another guy's going to let the stuff after the whistle go a little bit more. Here's the problem. Everyone's talking about call the rule book. Do this, do that. You're asking this officiating crew, and here's the problem. I'm not even sure who to blame here. You're asking this officiating crew to magically, from one game to another, view the game differently than they do. And I just don't know if that's a reasonable request. Part of me wonders if it's on... I was going to say, is the onus then on Montreal and or Vegas to adjust to what the refs are doing? But we're not talking about typical call the rule book stuff, are we? We're not talking about call this hook, call this interference. We're talking about a giant like McNabb punching Nick Suzuki right in the head. And you just kind of can. It's fine. So I don't know if that is an individual thing. I'm taking this off. I'm hot. I don't know what you do about that. Because I don't think you get a better outcome. Look at it this way. I don't think if this officiating crew gets a talking to from the league or from like the head of officiating, whatever, if they get a talking to, I don't think it's better. They probably swing way too aggressively in the other direction. Each team has had 4 power plays to this point, and everyone is still unhappy just for different reasons. I know we have this conversation every year. And I said this in a previous stream. Here we are for the third period, by the way. Montreal was still about a minute and a half on the power play. Is the officiating in this year's playoffs worse than every year? And I said, this could be something for Vegas here. Probably not. Gustafsson getting back. That's a good pickoff, though, for Carlson. That's a risky pinch, but it almost led to a Vegas goal. I don't think the officiating is worse than it usually is, because we ask this question every year. I actually did forget our sports interaction. I'll say it now, but I'll say it at the first break as well. The over-under here is for Montreal as a team goals, over-under 2.5. They're already at 1. So this would involve them getting 2 goals this period. Or, in theory, they could get a goal. Vegas could force overtime and Montreal could win it in overtime. We'll get to that at the first break as well, so that you can focus on the game here. All right, Montreal does not convert on that power play. Vegas gets the kill. Montreal 2 shots on the power play. We do have some questions. DOC, why has the Vegas scoring gone dry? Boy, we're really getting an appreciation for how good Chandler Stevenson is, eh? Or at very least, how much his absence has completely screwed up the Vegas Golden Knights. Oh! If they're not getting offense from their defense, they're basically not getting it. Mark Stone. You know, we talk about big money players in these playoffs not showing up. Mark Stone makes $9.5 million. And I expect him to be better than he's been. Oh, he's good on the defensive side of the puck. Bros score. I know. But for all the Habs fans in here who watched the first round, was I not saying that about Matthews and Marner? I know they're not scoring, but they're good defensively. I know they're not scoring, but they're good defensively. And then we needed a goal. They needed to score a goal. I don't know who tipped that, but you should have left it. That thing was going in. Yada, yada, yada. At some point, you need a bloody goal. You're playing great defensively. Wonderful. We're losing. Score. We need a goal.
And they'll do it again in the Montreal zone. No sec back between Stone and Pacioretty. And out come Martinez and Pietrangelo.
Gabe, Steve, you ever thought about piercing your ears? I think it would look good. No. I have not. I've thought about a tattoo. Problem is I don't know what I would get. Oh! That would suck to block that shot and have it not even count. Can you imagine? No, I've thought about a tattoo. The issue is I don't know what I would get, and also I'm covered in moles, and I just don't think it would look good on me. Unless it was like a constellation. Now you got me thinking. Vegas has got a little bit. Whoa! Yikes! Pacioretty again. It just seems like he's snake bitten. I was gonna say Vegas. This is as dangerous as they've looked all night. God, Pietrangelo is really doing everything. It's the third round, so the Conn Smythe conversation is thoroughly on. And if Vegas is going to make a comeback here, you got to think Pietrangelo is going to have a huge part of it. I'm not sure how he doesn't at least get considered. I mean, there is still a round and a half to play. A lot can happen. Ooh. Oh, I don't know. I think he should have shot that. Who was that in front? Byron? A little hesitation there from the Vegas defense, but they find a way. Is this ice? That is ice. Wow, 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 wow. Very close. GI Storm Shadow. If the New York Islanders and Montreal Canadiens make the finals, will there be a record for lowest shot total in a playoff game? No. Not to make everything about the Leafs, but I once saw them get 6 shots in an entire Game 7 against the New Jersey Devils. See, tell me you don't remember the 90s without telling me you don't remember the 90s. Buddy, no one got any shots in the 90s. Oh! Oh, off the bar, I think, or the side of the net. There was a game between the Leafs and Blues I wrote about in my book, and I remember Grant Fuhr was the goalie for the Blues. And as a kid, I remember thinking he completely stood on his head all game. He was amazing, and he was unbeatable. He faced 21 shots. Oh! Oh! See, Vegas is... Oh, my goodness. Who was that who went down? Wah? Vegas is... they're throwing the puck into chaotic spots. They're not necessarily getting passes or shots. It's just going off of stuff. Frantic pace to the third here. Can't imagine this is exactly what Montreal wants. I know Vegas isn't exactly shooting the lights out here, but kind of all night they've been putting the puck into like uncomfortable spots without getting an actual shot. You still, at the end of the day, you got to get pucks on Carey Price. Oh, Caulfield.
Leonard tried to get across, but off the side of the net and out.
Getting close, sniffing. As we head to our first break here of this third period. So, Sports Interaction, providing competitive odds on all sports. Sports Interaction is Canada's odds maker. Obviously, you got to be 19 and up and play responsibly. So, the thing that I neglected to get to, Montreal's team over-under. Now, odds may have changed over the last few minutes because we're now a few minutes into this game. But the over-under, again, is 2.5 goals. So Montreal has 1 right now. What do you think? What do you think? I'm going to take the over. I don't know about you. I'm going to take the over at plus 200 or whatever it's changed to. Because with the game opening up, I could see them getting another one. Then Vegas is going to have to empty the net. Montreal could win this game 3-0. And you'd be right with the over. Now, you may also make your picks based on the opposite of my picks because they have been brutal tonight. I was great in game 2. But as Montreal Canadiens fans very well know, being right early in the series does not always add up to being right later in the series. So that's my Sports Interaction bet. I'm going to take the over at plus 200 there. What do you think? Cassidy, who's going to be the Kraken head coach? That's a tough one. Whoever it is, it's got to be someone the organization trusts. It's got to be someone who you can think can establish the right culture, which is something I think Gerard Gallant did, that sort of us against the world culture. Rick Tocchet has been rumored. I don't know if we've seen enough from him as a head coach to say that's the guy. Oh, Buddy's having a great time. Will apparently has asked this about 53 times. Will Caulfield win the Calder next season? Yeah, so that is a very interesting thing that I saw in a tweet the other day. Mark Dumont, who covers the Montreal Canadiens, often for the Montreal Canadiens, pointed out that Cole Caulfield will be eligible for the Calder Trophy next season. He will be a rookie. Oh! Oh, I can't believe Gallagher didn't convert there. Oh, so close. He might convert here. Where to go? Never good when your goalie has no idea what's going on. Put my own spit there. I feel like the favorite for the Calder never ends up winning it. And someone you never would have thought of, someone who's maybe a little older, someone who is just put in the right position, ends up winning it. I gotta think he'll get nominated. Win it? Tough bet. Now I got the tickle going. Marchessault was pretty close to offside there. Fred, will this be the first draft in a long time where the late picks can be gems with juniors not playing mostly in 2020? Oh, here comes Caulfield. Oh, what a stop by Leonard, but it's loose. Oh, baby. You got to be a little harder on McNabb there. I know he's a huge guy, but he could have coughed that puck up. Habs just smothering, eh? That's one thing. Vegas, like, off the rush, once they get the puck to the point, they can move the puck through the slot against Montreal a little bit. But if that thing goes into the corner, you're done. Montreal in the corner in their own end, they just want to smush you. So they do. There are lots of teams who can't pull off what they're actually trying to do. Montreal does. Oh! Again, see, like, I don't think that'll add up to a shot on goal. But it's definitely a chance. Puck goes into the corner. Montreal comes out with it. If you're a goaltender, tend the goal. That's so much to ask. Oh, this is mean. Apple Silver. Steve has a mole for every Leaf playoff loss. Ow! Jesus! Well, that's why I'm covered in them, I guess. You haven't even seen me with my shirt off. That's premium. Oh, Leonard covering it up. I will say this. Someone wanted to book a video of me wishing their mom a happy birthday. I'm on a couple web apps for that. I'm not trying to plug them right now, Sportsnet. But I'm on a couple different apps where you can like book me to like wish someone a happy birthday or like a happy Father's Day, a happy anniversary, something like that. And this guy goes, hey, what's the link to your OnlyFans or whatever? I want to get a video for my mom. And I was just like, that's not the right site. That's not quite, sir. This you're mistaken. Not on there. Rory, if 2,500 Habs fans sound like 25,000. Oh, that's a good supplement. He's been good tonight, man. You can't hang this on him. If 2,500 Habs fans sounds like 25,000, do these 3,500 sound like 35,000? What are you making me do math? Rory, they said there'd be no math. Just me wearing a ref uniform, showing you my jeans. Potentially beer. See, that was a perilous play in the corner there where Vegas had the advantage. Guess what? Nothing. This is a big, heavy team, Vegas. Big, heavy, skilled, fast. Not a ton of flaws, even with an injury to their top center. Oh, that could be a break there from Vegas. Puck hitting the ref there in the skate. Oh, never mind. My prediction, though, that this game is going to open up and Montreal is going to have a counterattack. You are seeing that there. Whoa! Corner. Vegas looks like they're going to come out with it. Oh, they score! McNabb! Right into the ref. Oh, shoot. Did he get hurt? I think he got hurt. He hit him right in the shots. He was like, yeah, gunk. Well, so much for that little corner narrative I was trying to tell you guys. There was Carlson doing a great job going behind the net. I mean, he does get out of the corner, though. Oh, I think he went right into the knee.
To the post. You can see his glove is turned around. And
Oh, you're not going to see too many sneak through Price like that. Let's stay on this camera so we can see what happened to McNabb after. Stay on this camera, for the love of God. No! Montreal fans right now are like, you know what? I'm not happy that he scored, but can you show him getting hit in the face? That's his first goal of the playoffs, and here comes Montreal, though. First goal of the playoffs on Vegas's 16th shot. And now they're skating with purpose. Alex Tuch's stick is not, though. It explodes, and Nicolas Waugh come flying in out of nowhere. Well, Chesto, who starts Game 5 for Vegas? Well, now, if Vegas wins, I don't know, I kind of think you got to go with Leonard. He's been fantastic in quantity and quality of his saves. Nosek a little holding on the stick, a little cross check there. Here come the Habs. Stopped by Leonard. Calm, composed.
8:25 remaining in the third period.
I don't necessarily think Fleury did anything wrong except for that one stupid giveaway. Like, he was good in that game when he had to be. Is that him checking in on Fleury too? That's hilarious. Oh boy, folks, we got a game. We got a game. And I think this does things for the over-under bet. Because now if you still think Montreal is going to win, well, they have to score now. They could have just shut it down when it was 1-0. Nope. You got to score now. Turtle 13. Steve, you would kill it on OnlyFans, though. Not going to lie. Glute bridges. I know. But, no. Ben, so Fleury is going to win another cup from the bench then. Okay, Ben brings up a great point. So let's say Leonard starts for Vegas from now on. They beat Montreal. They beat whoever they play in the Stanley Cup final, and they win the Stanley Cup. I think we all agree, based on the numbers, especially because he's got probably at least 2-3 more years left to play. Based on the numbers, Marc-Andre Fleury probably deserves to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But when it's all said and done, and you look at the cups he's won, he was the starter for one of them. One of them. In 2016 and 2017, he played his part, and he was good. He's on the bench. 2018 makes it to the Cup final, don't win. This year, if he's on the bench again, it's going to count against him. Tuukka Rask is another fascinating one, because by the time it's all said and done, I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame discussion as well. He has one cup and he was on the bench. 2 other finals appearances, lost. It's tough. Shout out Liam. Texting me while I'm working. My brother-in-law. Liam, I need your predictions. He's a huge Chelsea fan. He's from Scotland. Do you think Scotland will beat Croatia in the Euro? I need to know. I hope so, for the family's sake. Ooh. Armia's a guy. Oh, never mind. Tuck. Oh. Vegas, they got life. Armia's a guy I've praised a lot in these playoffs and in this series. That was the first time I've noticed him tonight, I think. Vegas turning it around. Okay, Montreal's in trouble because this looks like Vegas. All game, they haven't looked like Vegas. They've looked like this timid team trying to figure out who the heck plays center for him. Now they look like Vegas. This is trouble. Montreal's bringing it right back, though. This is a wide open game. Got to hit Stone there. That's an interesting line there from Berkshire, saying he knows a guy who knows Patches, and he said he's going to struggle in the series because he cares too much. There's too much history between him and the Montreal Canadiens. After all, he used to be their captain. Vegas has too many players right here. That's what took him so long to pass it. It's a good battle from Marchessault. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's... No, offside? I thought that was onside. Ref had a better view of it than I did. Passing it at teammate's feet. Liam, by the way, of course Scotland can do it. If they play anything like they did against England, I don't see why not. There you go, Liam. Benjamin, Steve, make a bet that if the Habs win the cup, you will get a tattoo. No. What? I've never understood that. Oh man, if this happens, I'm getting a tattoo. You're gonna commemorate that forever on your body. Like for a bet? It's one thing if the team you like wins. The team you cheer for. And then he sends me a William Wallace gift. Freedom! That's what I was saying for Game 7. Leafs Habs. The Leafs need cat poop guy. And that is related to the Habs. Who remembers cat poop guy? A few years ago there was a game, I want to say it was in February, because I was out for my dad's birthday that night. Leafs were losing 3-0 to Montreal. And a Leaf fan tweets, if the Leafs come back and win this game, I will eat a piece of cat poop. And my friends, the Leafs won 6-3. And he posted a video of himself. Well, he did it. He didn't look like he liked it either. Yaku. Leonard got absolutely smoked out of the building versus Colorado. Oh! Wide again. A lot of missed shots going both ways. A lot of tips, a lot of missing high. You got to curl that back. Leonard got absolutely smoked out of the building versus Colorado. How could you not go back to Fleury just because of one random puck bounce in Game 3? Okay, so everyone... Let's wait and see if there's a chance here. Everyone thinks Pete DeBoer and the Vegas Golden Knights are galaxy braining this. I don't. I think they know something we don't. Fleury is in his, what is he, in his late 30s now, or mid to late 30s? He's probably feeling it. And I mean, these guys have been a tandem, basically, for a couple years now. And all of a sudden, one becomes like the undeniable starter. And I think that takes a toll on the body. Another factor here is the flights. Remember, this is like a 5-6 hour flight from Montreal to Vegas. And that's what they had to deal with from Game 2 to 3. Fleury plays all night. Gets worse as the game goes on, to put it gently. And then it's Game 4. Isn't the whole reason you pay... Oh, boy! Where'd that go? Where'd it go? Never good when the goalie looks behind him. Shoo. Fleury makes $7 million. Leonard makes $5 million. Something along those lines. You don't pay a goalie $5 million to ride time. Permanently. They're a tandem during the regular season. Why not have them be a tandem in the playoffs? And, like, how can anyone think that Vegas is wrong now? Like, heading into the game, you can question it. But right now, there's less than 3 minutes to go in regulation. Leonard's faced 28 shots, and he stopped 27 of them. And, yeah, I know he got smoked out of the building against Colorado, but, like, you're acting like that's how he plays every game. And not one anomaly. How many games has Robin Leonard allowed 7-8 goals? It ain't many. especially over the last few seasons. That was a dangerous little play there from McNabb that could have been a huge turnover as we get to the 2-minute mark. Something happened to Anderson there. Ooh, turtle dank. Steve, will Leaf fans actually respect the Habs if they win the cup? Of course. Of course. Now, here's the thing. A friend years ago said the best team in hockey rarely wins the Stanley Cup. Which sounds salty. We got a whistle here. It sounds salty, but it's true. And, like, who's the best team in the NHL? Right? We look at the regular season, so we have 56 games of evidence that suggests the Colorado Avalanche are the best team in the NHL. They're better than Vegas. Last game of the season. Are you or aren't you better than Vegas? They win, so they are. And Vegas is the second place team in the league from the regular season. Habs are 18. But it's not about that. It's not about who's the best. It's not about who's the best on paper. It's about who wins. And this might sound dumb, but I think real ones will understand. It's harder to win than to be the best. Any team can win one game in the regular season. Oh, that almost snuck through the 5-hole. Price with the happy feet there. Being a champion is incredibly hard, and you can't luck your way through it. Now, fortunate things have happened for Montreal. Or perhaps not fortunate, but advantageous. It's not fortunate John Tavares got hurt. But you can't deny that it wasn't advantageous to Montreal. Same thing with Scheifele. Same thing with Chandler Stevenson. But it's hard to win, man. Even with all those things. Oh, boy. These teams don't want to go to overtime, do they? We're about 30 seconds away from our second consecutive overtime. Shots 18-28 for Montreal. Vegas tying it up. I'm not sure what Montreal is pointing at here. Vegas has the puck. 15 seconds to go. We got a whistle. Ooh, baby. Evan, are you an original poutine guy or do you ruin it with all that other crazy stuff? Okay, so I know there are purists about poutine, but if I'm under the influence at 2 a.m, you better believe I'm putting sausage in there if it's an option. But I will say, there is a pub near Sportsnet, and they have curry poutine. And, I almost drooled just now. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite pub Oh, buddy, look out for the net. Is that ice? No. We are going to overtime for the second consecutive game. So, if you took the under, good for you, because the max amount of goals the Habs can get in this game are 2. I was wrong again. They ain't doing so good with these. End of regulation. Montreal Canadiens, Vegas Golden Knights tied at 1. Montreal up 2-1 in the series. But again, the same thing. Who bails out Vegas? Who gets the goal? It's a good play from William Karlsson, but it's a defenseman. Again. Like, that's okay. It's not bad that your defense scores, but they can't be the only guys. They can't be the only guys. I will just straight up ask the production crew right now. What do you think? Do we take a break? Or do we cruise through the intermission? All the way to overtime. Whisper sweet nothings in my ear. Let me know. Totally up to me. I'm good for either. We're going to stay. We're going to stay. Tracy asks, if you had to pick right now, who's the Conn Smythe favorite for each team? I don't think there's any performance any Montreal Canadien could have that would take the Conn Smythe away from Carey Price. It's also one of those things where, you know how the Conn Smythe was kind of controversial the year Phil Kessel should have won it? I want to say it was 2016 with the HBK line. Phil Kessel should have won it, but they gave it to Crosby. Felt right that it went to Crosby, though. Also, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't have one. Because wasn't the Conn Smythe in 2009? Malkin's? First Russian to ever win it, I believe. It's one of those things where when Carey Price's career is over and done with, speaking of players who are going to make the Hall of Fame, when his career is over and done with, and there's a Stanley Cup on there, on his resume, we'll assume, it's going to look a little weird that he doesn't have a Conn Smythe. Conn Smythe is a hard trophy to win, man. Really hard. So there's one for Vegas. Robin Leonard. No. William Karlsson has had a very underrated playoff for them, and he's maybe their best forward. I think I'm going to give it to Petro. Really impressed with that player, man. And it really, when he's out there, you feel like he's the straw that stirs the drink. Oh! Okay, you know what? We are going to take a break. It'll be less than 5 minutes. Don't go away. I got to go get a beverage. Thank you for reminding me, chat. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. Less than 5 minutes. We'll be right back. Here we are. Here we are, folks. Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle and the second consecutive Habs game going to overtime here. Game 4. Here's what's on the line. It's very simple. Montreal wins. They go up 3-1, which in most situations is referred to a stranglehold. Most. Or Vegas could tie it. Send this series back home, tied with home ice advantage. A lot on the line. Speaking of a lot on the line, Sports Interaction. Extremely simple. By the way, Sports Interaction providing competitive odds on all sports. Sports Interaction is Canada's odds maker, 19 plus, obviously, and play responsibly, obviously. The rules are simple. Who scores the next goal, aka who is going to win this game, because whoever scores the next goal will win the game. You got Vegas, minus 125, Montreal, minus 105. Here's what I'm going to go with. Montreal, after they tied it, even though there wasn't a ton of time to play, after they tied it in game 3, I should say, Montreal was absolutely all over Vegas. Overtime showed that. It only got worse, and they won. What I saw in this game, after Vegas tied it, they were all over Montreal. So, like in game 3, I think the team that tied it is going to win. So my pick is Vegas. I don't know. It's overtime. It's the playoffs. It's goofy. It could be anybody. But I'm going to pick them. Oh, Chad is thanking me for doing this. Thank you. On Father's Day. Hey, you know what? Why don't I thank myself? Why don't I thank myself, everybody? Because it's overtime and it's Father's Day. Why not? Why not? I'm going to pour this into my red Solo cup. Red Solo. I fill you up. Let's have a party. What, you didn't come here to watch me sing? What? Folks, this is unbelievable. And this is what you do it for, right? Don't you want to be covering an overtime game in the playoffs? Don't you want to be watching an overtime game in the playoffs? Overtime. That's the tweet. I had to promote the link one more time. Cheers! Happy first Father's Day to me! My son has already been asleep for about 4 hours because sleep training rules. Highly recommend it. Click like. Now, click subscribe because we're going to be doing these for each and every Montreal Canadiens game this series. Montreal Canadiens will be in every game this series. That is a guarantee. I'll just be up front instead of keeping it a secret like we did for the Leafs ones. We want to do them for the Stanley Cup Final. It is not official that we will be doing these for the Stanley Cup Final. But we're to use insider terminology, we are looking into it. There are rumblings, perhaps whispers. We could be doing this for the Stanley Cup Final. Chat, keep it coming with the questions. Oh, okay. I understand the question. Reagan, is Montreal in this Final Four in a regular NHL season? Yeah. You know what? 56 games is enough games where no one in the North Division got cheated. You know? I know Ottawa was great for a few months. They were. Calgary wasn't that far back of Montreal. I mean, Vancouver, who on earth? Like, I don't know how that organization evaluates this past season. Because in a season where no one had a typical season, theirs was probably the least typical. So I don't know how you evaluate that. But Montreal was clearly in the top 4 in the North Division. That's what they needed. You know, they almost passed Winnipeg by the end of the season. There was a while where it's like, Calgary could catch Montreal. And then going into last week of the season, Montreal could catch Winnipeg. So yeah, Montreal would have made it. They would have made it. Put some respect on their name, for goodness sake. They're in the Final Four right now. You know? Oh, Reagan. But the divisions would be different in a regular season, Steve. This is a great point. So, assuming everything goes back to normal, the Northeast, or whatever, Atlantic, whatever they decide to call it this time, is going to be Tampa, Florida, Boston, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, who outside of January was pretty good, Buffalo and Detroit. You got to mumble those last two. Ottawa's a team where a lot of people are like, if the season kept going, who knows? They could have made it. They played good enough. We'll never know. But you might be right. Toronto, say what you want about how they choke and everything. They're at very least a good regular season team. Montreal made it. Florida had a spectacular season and had the misfortune of playing Tampa in the first round. Then there's Tampa. And you can't ever really rule out the Bruins, can you? Does Montreal make the playoffs in that division? Because then it's not even about division, though, right? You could have 5 teams from one division make it, in theory. But it's a lot harder because you're playing all those teams. Oh, Reagan, you're really turning the knife here. Listen, it's not an insult to the Montreal Canadiens, though, because we've emphasized this, and Brian Burke said this, and I've said that Brian Burke said this. The Montreal Canadiens were designed to win in the playoffs. But they're one of those weird teams, and there always seems to be one, where they're built for the playoffs, but they're going to have trouble getting there. Well, they got there. So would they make it in a regular season? To quote the great Kanye West, I guess we'll never know. Vegas 1-3 in overtimes. Montreal a perfect 4-0. Did anyone who wears blue tell me how they got that way? Just avoid getting... Oh, baby! I was about to say, avoid getting picked off there, Montreal. With the pace to start this overtime, I better drink this quick. Question from I'm Naked. What's your favorite Habs line? I mean, how is it not Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, and whoever the hell else? There's sort of, that line's a little bit like what the Leafs have done, where it's those two and you can really throw in anyone else you like. They're the most exciting to watch. Definitely. Here's another good one. Anderson, by the way, you could tell that big performance in Game 3 has gone to his legs. This is his best game periods 1, 2, and 3 in quite some time. Vegas with the keep. Krishna, who are your top 2 Eichel will end up here teams? Oh boy. This could be something here for Vegas. Oh! Whoa! He scores! What patience from Waugh! Rebound! Price sprawled! Net covered! Almost Datsuki in that little flip. The patience on this guy. I believe a 4th round pick of the Carolina Hurricanes. Are those his parents? I think so.
What a play, though,
acquired from Carolina in the Eric Holla trade, scores one of the biggest goals in Vegas Golden Knights history. I wonder if they're going to look at this for goaltender interference. There were 19 bodies in the crease when this happened. There's Waugh. There's Tuck. I don't see anybody touching him. I don't see anybody touching him. That's just a goal. Pacioretty with the setup. May have gone off a skate. Waugh with the shot. Rebound. Stick flying. Oh, what a brilliant play. Brilliant effort. Brilliant celebration. And finally, on a Sports Interaction prediction, I am right. I had a brutal night. That snaps a little losing streak for me. Or no, I said Montreal would score first. I did get that one. Kotkaniemi in the net. Fleury celebrating. Folks, I don't know how you go back to the guy next game. Maybe he plays different in his own building. I don't know. But the Vegas Golden Knights have tied this series. Both Final Four series are tied at 2 games apiece, and all 4 teams remaining are 6 wins away from the 2021 Stanley Cup. Krishna, I'm sorry I didn't get to your question. Eichel, LA and Columbus. There. I don't know. Here we got another replay here. Or are they trying to say this should have been icing? I'm not sure why it wasn't, to be totally honest. Is there maybe even a hold in the stick there? Are they trying to say it went off of somebody? I wish I could hear the broadcast right now. I'm not going to lie. I don't understand how that's not icing. Oh, okay. They're in studio right now. Interesting. Maybe they're saying Weber was too close to it. Kevin, what is Sherratt doing? I was too busy following the puck, man. What were the Habs thinking? There were so many turnovers in their own zone. That's from Time Travel Hendricks. And Kevin asked the question about Sherratt. Listen, with Sherratt or with the Habs as a whole, I told you before overtime began about the momentum. Vegas had it. And momentum's this thing that we just throw out there. It's better. Momentum is a thing, but I think a better adjective is belief. Does that make sense? If Vegas ties it, the doubt enters Montreal, saps their belief, and it just fills Vegas up to the brim. Montreal had that little seed of doubt. They're taking a split second to make their decisions. They're hesitant. They're wild. They're everywhere but in their happy place. And isn't it amazing? The change in the turn of events. You think I'm going to go back to the third period. Why don't I go back to the first 30 seconds of overtime where Tyler Toffoli was this close to being sprung at the blue line for a breakaway for what could have been Montreal's second goal of the game and second breakaway goal of the game, putting them up 3-1 and 5 games away from winning the Stanley Cup, 1 game away from a trip to the Stanley Cup final. Unbelievable. And how about Pacioretty? Welcome to the series. I know it was Waugh getting his own rebound, but Pacioretty throwing it in is basically what creates that chance. We're going to wrap real soon here. Clark, be honest. You think it's Vegas in 6 now, don't you? Listen, after seeing Vegas tie the game, I thought Vegas was going to win this game. But if you think Vegas is going to win 3 straight games, like confidently, they might. But if you confidently are looking at the series and going, oh, Montreal's done, you didn't watch the same game that I just watched. Folks, this is a series. It is heated. It is evenly contested. And I cannot wait for Game 5, which, by the way, join us back here on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Click like, and this is why you click subscribe and tell all your friends. Game 5 will be back in Vegas, which means it'll be a 9 p.m. start on Tuesday. Mark it down. You're not going to want to miss it. So that concludes Watch a Habs game with Steve Dangle. Vegas winning 2-1 over the Montreal Canadiens and tying their third round series, almost said fourth, third round series at 2 games apiece. Folks, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. I can't chug anymore. I can't chug anymore. Have a good night.